tight. The screams will follow me. Cries of my ancestors said, go away. My operate, fasting in brain, shape-shifting. I feel the animal high. Inspired me. Ancestors crying. I feel the change. I feel the change coming. We are one but not the same. This form I desire, innocent blood I will devour. Ancestors gathering round the dwelling, the spirit inhabiting, evil enveloping, the dancing graves in the night, the spirit occupying and transforming, stolen heights, dark practices, my secret life, feathered outers, mysticism, intriguing, my operate, fasting in brain, shape-shifting, I feel the animal high, inspired me, ancestors crying, I feel the change, I feel the change coming, we are one but not the same. Give me the ability to hide in plain sight, so no one can see me, not even in the light. I am the crawler, armor within, I'm nobody's friend. This initiation is all part of the dark creation. My desires performing incantations. I walk in disguise. If I catch you, it's your demise. Shamanism, my religion, summoning spirits, manifesting myself and changing my flesh. A nightmare to behold. I'ma make you part of the fold. The skin of a man, the soul of a predator. The change is complete. This thing I become, my flesh has succumbed. My operate, fasting in brain, shape-shifting. I feel the animal high, inspired me, ancestors crying. I feel the change, I feel the change coming. We are one but not the same.
Who's holding my hand in the darkness? Seeing ghosts down the hallway. There's a presence, bedroom shadows, cloaked and haunting me. Cold hand touching me. Fear overwhelming me. Tapping at my window. I can't bear to open my eyes. A breath on my neck, floating out
All right, folks. Welcome to Paranormal Roundtable. I'm your host, Josh Turner, and this is PRT.
I'm the host.
No, you close that door.
I don't even think my mic's on.
You're a host. You're not the host. Let's see here. All right. So, this was actually planned for tomorrow. What we were going to do. We were going to do. This is how it ended up happening. Let me just explain to you really quickly why we're here tonight. I'm gonna fix this hat. I got this hat from a buddy of mine. We call him Zero, and it's Arkin. If you don't know what that is, look it up. I'm not gonna talk about it on YouTube. And let me just say this right now. This is the Sailor's Cross. Okay, Sailor's Cross, not Leviathan. Thong, the thong, thong, thong. This is not Leviathan. All right. I don't worship that dude. Screw that dude. I don't know who the hell. I don't worship Leviathan. These people that say these. What am I even talking about? These people that say this stupid. So yes, we ended up over here tonight. We were going to go on Rumble, and I just thought this is stupid. You're dealing with stupid things. Okay, that's not what PRT is. PRT is not here to bicker with these jackholes and try to refute what they say, what they don't say. They have a family feud going. Let them play family feud. That's not my thing. I don't care. I mean, if somebody records you saying something and then they play it back, unless it's been tampered with or modified or something like that, dude, own up to it and explain what it was. I stand by everything I say and when I say it, but it's all in context. It has to be when I said it, why I said it, and who I was talking about.
Besides, you already said you said that on Rumble.
I don't regret. Yeah, I said it on Rumble. I don't regret anything what I say. Don't. People have asked me before. They're like, "Well, you look like a jackass on one of them shows." Yeah, and I still get 700 people that join my chat on Sundays. Who cares? People come into this community. Really, I think there's maybe two reasons. One, because they want to infiltrate because they're shills, or they're possessed of an evil heart, which is pretty much the same thing. You're working for the same boss. Or they come in because they want to learn about the paranormal. They want to hear about stuff. They want to know about stuff, right? So that's why people come here. This isn't the drama channel, okay? Let them. You see what's happening over there with those people and their channels? They're because of the drama. They keep it up. They keep it going. So that's why. So we're just trying to get some people up in the chat. We got 200 right now. I got to show you something funny, okay? This is another thing, too. People say that I can't. I'm so fat. You can see that I'm not. You can look at me and see I'm not. But they say that because they have the retardation. Well, here it is. This is what keeps me alive. Magic oxygen. They say he walks around with an oxygen tank. And they're like, I'm at the gym going, pumping it, Anthony, Tony, lift the weights for me. I can't walk or move. That's not how it goes. So I mentioned before, and they see me use oxygen on the air, so they go, we figured it out. This man, this unholy man, needs oxygen to breathe, to live. Just like blood. He needs blood to live. In fact, he needs it to flow through his veins, pumping from his heart, his large four-chambered heart, into his brain to keep it alive. What kind of man is this?
Just like the devil.
Did not the Satan also need blood and oxygen to live? And somebody raises their hand, maybe the one less stupid person in the class. They're like, no? Oh, Oh, so you follow the apostate, the heretic. You said no? No, I mean, like, the devil doesn't really need oxygen or blood. I'm saying that he was like a spirit, and you're kind of saying, oh, this guy, he needs oxygen and blood because he's like a human, mate. Oh, now we have an Einstein in the class. Oh, okay. I suppose you think you're the next Nikola Tesla. No, not really. I just, no, I was born in Liverpool. I just wanted to say maybe that he's just a normal guy. Just needs blood and oxygen like the rest of us, man. That's all I'm saying. I suggest you shut your mouth before we do waterboarding torture on you and throw your witchery ass into the lake, where, if you float, we will know that you're a witch. And sadly, if you sink, you die. And you're like, oh, it's not very good options. So you're right. Josh Chen is the devil. He's an evil guy. He's a bad guy. Let's not talk about this guy bad. What was that? I said, let's talk about this guy bad. Let's do horrible guy. Bad guy. I heard he eats babies. That's what. Exactly. Now you're getting it. We need more of that. Yes, I absolutely, Snape. I will be on it. I will. That from now on will be the order of the day. Sorry. Yes. Okay, class. Your assignment. Write up the most horrible, god-awful things you can think of about him and his cohorts. So we can splatter it all over the internet. And all 25 of our listeners will recoil in horror and create chaos in the paranormal community. And then they go, and it's a big nothing. He walks around with oxygen. So let me tell you something. I ordered, this is not the normal size. They're actually much bigger. If you've seen them, I have bigger cans. So I was excited when I saw the smaller ones because
The size of the box didn't give it away.
No, listen. Objects in the mirror, you know what I'm saying, closer than. So on Amazon, objects on Amazon are bigger than they appear. So stupid me, I'm in a big hurry. I'm always in a big hurry. I'm like that rabbit on the Alice in the Wonderland. I'm in a big hurry. And I'm like, look, I'm going to order some oxygen. Nellie's like, I'm going to order oxygen. What I say, honey? I got it. I'm going to do this. All right. I know what I'm doing. I might be a heretic apostate, but I know how to order some oxygen.
Do you?
Well, apparently not. Because I ordered it and look what happened. I said, oh, they're little baby. In fact, these aren't even babies. These are embryos. This is not even been born yet. You're like,
do you even have a normal size one to show the difference?
So they have another one apparently that was a little bit bigger, and then they have a bigger one. And I thought, I'm getting a really good deal on these. No, I got ripped off. Because I thought these littler ones are more handy. They're cheap. They showed, and they lied. I don't know what they did. They showed a woman on there like carrying them around like she's jogging. So I'm either thinking that it's a Maddie-sized person with little tiny hands, or it was a full-grown woman holding a bigger one. Okay. I'm not saying that Maddie's not full-grown. She just didn't grow real big. Okay. And so, so I'm thinking, I'm going to take this to the gym because if you work out, if you lift weights, let me give you some advice. And you want to get bigger, you want to get stronger, and you can see, that I am a muscular guy. And that's not bragging. I'm just saying I'm strong. I lift weights. This will help you. It will absolutely freaking help you. So here it is. But holy crap, did I not? So I figure if I go to the gym, I'll get, and then one more, and then we're done. So I got sent a 6-pack of these little babies. And Nellie, she loves it. She loves rubbing it in. She's like, I let you do one thing for yourself. And these hatch. I know.
Did you learn your lesson?
No, because I'm still going to order stuff anyway. I'm going to, and you know, I did that with the pocket knife the other day too. I was all waiting for it. It shows up, and I'm like, oh, look at this. It's a badass knife, and it's like that big.
I'll take it.
That was confusing because I could have swore I saw the video and the guy was playing with it. And once again, did he have tiny hands? I don't know. But I called Amazon and I was like, look, what is going on with this? Why is this knife so small? So you ordered that knife. That is the knife that you ordered. You wanted that knife and you ordered it. Why are you complaining about the knife? The knife was sent that way and it is small. That you knew it. I said, okay, wait, hold on. I said, in America, we have full-grown adults that need full-grown knives, pocket knives. Okay, I understand where you're from. Y'all don't. You have smaller people with smaller knives, and anything bigger than 3 inches is used to cut bamboo or whatever it is that they kill people, whatever. And so he got all offended. He was like, I don't have to take this. I don't know why you were. And I'm like, look, I'm trying to understand where you're coming from. Okay, I'm trying to get it. All right. And then he hung up on me. And then Anthony explained to me that what I was saying was very not cultured, very bigoted, very whatever. And I was like, you think? So I went back and I played the recording and I was like, holy crap. That's not what I said at all. What I said was much worse. And I owned up to it. So I called Tarbosh back and I said, look, Tarbosh, I am so sorry that I said these things. I should never have said that your people are all whatever I said, And he was like, no, it's okay, because we're going to blow you hard. Your whole house will be blown hard. I was like, oh, so I'm not prepared for that. I'm married. I don't know where this is coming from. I don't know what you're talking about. He goes, oh. He hung up the phone. I was like, holy crap, that just turned into some racist shit. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I'm prepared now to get blown hard because I argued with Tarbosh about the small knife. But in my defense, you got to say the knife was small, right, Anthony? It was little.
Yeah.
Like you could do your fingernails with it.
The toothpick.
Yeah. So luckily the one I ordered for your brother, he got his. He was all happy. He goes, oh, it came in. It was good. I ordered him one. So for Christmas, though, I got an Adidas bottle of cologne. Mm-hmm. And I thought, man, this is going to smell like shit, dude. And then it was called Pulse. So then I smelled it and I was like, oh, wait a minute. So I had gotten Anthony's brother some of that for Christmas and he couldn't remember what it was. 2 Christmases later, he's like, what was that cologne? We couldn't remember. And it turned out that it is actually very good, folks. I got to give Adidas props on it. They have a good line of cologne. And I'm picky about my cologne. Like I get some of my cologne from Dubai. I got a friend that's got a connection with him. When he comes back from overseas, he brings it in, and it's cheap.
That's the place to buy them from.
Dubai, yeah, it's cheaper. That's the place. Dubai cologne from Dubai. But I have a connection. So, if you're looking for really good colognes, I like to get theirs. I'm going to tell you right now, do not try to buy them off of eBay or Amazon. They are fake. They are fake. And my friend put me on the spot the other day, and he was like, his name is Alum. And he was like, did you try this before? Because I told him I didn't like the way it smelled. And he's real smart. Like he turned and he was like, did you try some other cologne? And I was like, yeah, I said I smelled it. There's a guy, and I tried to lie. I'm a horrible liar. I was like, this guy down the road, there's a guy about the thing with the square. He's got, I'm talking about. He's like, nobody has this here in the mall. Where did you go? I said, okay, look. Nellie is not smart, okay? And she ordered. He goes, no, Nelly would not do that. And I'm like, damn it. I said, look, Anthony's out of earshot. I don't like Anthony. He's got issues, dude. He keeps on trying to order that Amazon. And he goes, Anthony. He calls him over there. And I said, okay. All right. I tried. I ordered some from Amazon. All right. I didn't like the way it smelled. He goes, I told you it's fake. And he got so mad. He was like, I'm not giving you any cologne today. Get out of my store. And so I was like, are you serious? He goes, no, I'm trying to make money here. Buy this. And so I bought some cologne. I said, oh, thank goodness. Because I felt really bad. But I learned my lesson. That crap that they sell on Amazon, it's not all fake. It's hit or miss. It's hit or miss. Because read some of the reviews. Right. So if you go to get that cologne that's made in Dubai, there's some that's it's made in different places, but it comes from all over the place, Persia, Anatolia. But those colognes are really good, and they're like these Arabic colognes, and they're very awesome. But you got to be careful, and don't just go and buy them from Amazon or eBay, because you're gonna have a bad time. Trust me, I learned, and Alam got me for that. He was like, I knew you did that. You are not a nice man, and not all my people want to blow. And I was like, I didn't even know you heard about that. He goes, we talk, the whole country, we talk. I'm like, oh, sorry, man. They actually do. They do. They network like crazy. But if you get to know them, and they're funny though, man. Like they'll make jokes all the time. And I'll make jokes back, and it's just a back and forth thing. Like I'll be like, "Look, I'm one of your people," and they had this like fake Boba Fett backpack, and I put it on, and I was like, "Look, it's got the missile on the back," and he goes, "Look, I'm an American," and he picks up a Big Mac, and I'm like, yeah, exactly. I said, "Well, not this American. I don't do that. I don't eat that. Gotta stop." So anyways, tonight, what we're going to do, and we're going to start doing this, is going to be a regular thing. We're going to do a pre-record that's going to drop every Wednesday night, right? Is it Wednesday?
Yeah.
Or it's going to be vice versa. We're going to do a pre-record every week, an hour-long show that's either going to be on Tuesday or Wednesday. And now we've decided, because people want to be assholes and mess around, that we're going to start dropping a live. We're going to do a live every Tuesday or Wednesday. And then we're going to do one on Friday with guests, and then we're going to do one on Sunday, which will be the flagship show like we've been doing. So how do you feel about that? And I'm going to tell you the reason we have to do this, and we talked about it as a team. We all got together and we talked, and we voted on this, okay? Everybody voted against it. I voted for it, and we won. This is very much a dictatorship, all right? I consider myself, having voted myself in office, a democracy, a democratic dictatorship republic. How does that sound? I just made that up. So what we did was I decided that it would be best, because we have so much material, so many stories, and we're never going to get it all out. And I'll be gone, dead. I won't even be able to get it all out. So I decided that we have to be active on here, and in order to get people's stories out, because I'm getting people messaging me, and they're getting impatient, and they're like, look, I gave you a story back in May. 2 days ago. So this guy messages me. His name is Alan. Okay. Now the other guy I was talking about, his name was Alam. That's a friend of mine. But this guy's name is Alan. I don't know him personally, but he messaged me. He said, I gave you a story in late May. Now, Alan, I got to tell you, I apologize right now on the air. You may not be listening right now because I know you have a day job. There's a reason for that. Back at that time, my business partner had a heart attack, and he ended up in the hospital, and he had to have open heart surgery and so he is still recovering, but he's so stubborn. He's already working again against mine and his daughter and his son's advice. We are trying to get him to chill, but that's a hardworking guy. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And he's a dang workaholic, but I'm like him too. I'm a workaholic, and he tells me I'm always working too much, and I tell him he's working too much. But that's why we've been successful, because we both work a lot. Now, it was very unfortunate. I was sad to hear that me and him together had fired me. Mm-hmm. I found that out over Facebook. Like, I was sitting on the toilet, folks, and it was literally like this. And like I said, we're waiting to get people in the chat. And I'm like, oh, what's going on here? See how my stocks are doing. I was like, oh, the Longhorns are going to get, transfer portal. Cowboys still suck. Well, whatever. I'm just sitting there looking, and I'm like, oh, Gates is still trying to kill everybody. Okay. That's what else? I'm like, what? I go to Facebook and I'm like, I've been fired. I'm like, I better wipe my butt and get to work. I don't, I've been fired. I'm panicking. I'm like, honey, I've been fired. I just found out over Facebook. She comes in there and she's like, what's going on? And I'm spraying, it's like, Friday in there, I'm joking. And she's just like, what's going on? I said, look, I said, I've been fired. She just starts laughing. And I start laughing. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I forgot. I'd have to fire myself.
You just rehired yourself on the spot.
So I called Marty and I'm like, let me tell you something. If I fire myself again, you're fired. And he's like, what do you Marty was eating something. You know how he chews when he talks? He's like, what are you talking about? I said, I don't know. Apparently I've been fired. He's like, how? I said, I don't know. I think we've both been fired. Did you fire me and I fire you? What happened? What's going on here? Is this multiplicity? Did my clone fire me? What's going on? So don't believe everything that you read while you're on the toilet. Okay. That's all I can say about that is that when you find out that you're fired, you're complete shock. And then you have to rehire yourself. So I went to my office, which is right here. This is where we hire people. And I knocked on the door and nobody answered. The guy that works there he's scatterbrained, which is Anthony. And so then I go ahead and I let myself in and I put an application and I said, hey, I'd like a job. And he goes, literally, this is a joke. This is how it went down. Anthony's sitting in the chair and he leans back and he goes, what the F are you talking about? I said, look. And he's like, I had the phone in his face, and he's like, what? I can't even see what it is. I said, look. I said, you got that LASIK surgery for what? You can't see? I've been fired. Now, hire me back. Give me an application. You're the manager. You hire me back. And so I got hired back right then. Since then, I found some very unsavory things out about this person I hired back. I don't know if I could trust him. But we'll see. It remains to be seen if the owner of this company's taking us in the right direction.
Amy said, never should have taken that bathroom break. And Outtuition quoted Oscar, the movie. I love that movie.
I never learned to read. But I can tell you this. It's disturbing when you wake up and you realize through Facebook that you've been fired. And it's, it was a shocking thing. It was a shocking moment. You got 20-something employees and you're like, hey, I fired myself. Company's dead. So then you start calling all your clients, hey, I'm sorry, but apparently me doesn't like me and fired me some me. I'm sorry. Can you just please find someone else? It's a painful moment anytime. Well, we've been working together for 13 years. I know. And the company's been around for 19, 18. I don't know what it is. I never thought I'd see the day that I do this to myself. But I did. And so it was about as enlightening as what was going on over there today.
Read, Chris.
Read. Oh, shoot. Do you rehire, interview with yourself? Go good. I got to say it was touch and go. I got to say. There were some times where I was like, I had the pen out. I have a pen right here. I could show, because when I interview people, I do this thing with the pen where I'm like, and I'm fidgeting.
Fidget.
And I'm like, so what are your qualifications? And they're like, well, I don't smoke a lot like I used to. I got transportation. I got transportation for sure. I got a skateboard. I just bought it. What my mom did for my birthday. Like I bathe a few times a week. I could comb my hair. The hair's all like they got the Rastafarian thing going on. You're like, you smell like skunk ass and patchouli. And then they're like, oh, see, that's like I was trying to wean myself off of the ganja. I still got like a really like dope ass fresh batch trying to chill with the ill. You know what I'm saying? The stickiest to the ickiest going. But once it's done, bro, I'm all yours, man. Let me tell you. And I'm sorry, I'm going to put my button to shave my chest hairs a little bit there. Sorry, bro. And you're just like, okay, don't call us. We'll call you. and then they walk out, and then you're spraying like Friday again, and you're trying to get the smell out. So my interview went a little smoother than that, but my interview was a little touch and go. Let's just say that there were some things that I didn't like about myself. I was like, it says here that you have a YouTube channel and that you need Fridays and Sundays off. And I was like, yes, that is correct. My channel. I'm like, that before you go any further, Mr. What is this? Learner? What is this? Turner. Yeah, your handwriting sucks. I can barely read it. And I've been you for 49 years. And I'm like, I understand that. And you're like, and the fact that we are having this conversation just shows how absolutely insane we are. Can I say we? What are our pronouns? I'm like, we is fine. And so then we said, hey, you've been fired and now you want to be rehired. Typically, we make you wait at least 60 days. It could take as long as 6 months. I'm like, oh, I don't have that kind of time. I have a mortgage. I got rents to pay. I got vehicles to pay. I got insurance. Please, sir, can I have my job back? And I said, with the pen. I can bring you back part-time. That's the best I got. That'll give you plenty of time to work on your little side project, your paranormal show. What's it called? Paragonal table of the what is it called? And I was like, paranormal round table. Yes, the table of the round of the paranormal. Yes, that. Just be on time and shave. Okay, please shave. I said, hey, whoa. No, I'm not going to shave the beard. And I said, well, you need to trim it up. So I went and got a haircut and I trimmed it up and the boss approved. I looked him in the mirror and he said, good to go. And I looked in the mirror like I do every day and I said, I love me some me. Yep. True narcissistic behavior. I love me some me. Yep. I do me whole. And then I grabbed the oxygen can. I gotta walk across the house. Let me make sure I have this so I don't pass out and die. Oh my God. Let's see what's going on over here. This is how long it takes me to walk across the house. I do walk like this too, like salad fingers meets a werewolf. And I go under the door. I'm so weak and pathetic. I'm like, Anthony, open your door. Anthony, lift weights for me. I cannot lift them myself. Sort of like Mr. Burns meets Nosferatu. Enough nonsense. That is not, none of that's true. That's bullshit. Totally didn't get my job back. I didn't hire myself back. So anyways, I got a guy who got in touch with me, okay, and his name is Alan, and what he had to tell me was, okay, so Okay, so we don't know what just happened. That was weird. But we did lose a bunch of people. It keeps like showing that it's like okay, so it's showing that it's like the stream is not it's not good or something. I don't know what's going on.
Is
No,
it
our,
like
our
the,
connection just cut out for some reason.
They can't see your face, or
No, they can see you.
Anderson's all you got fired again.
She's like,
Yeah, they can see and hear everything now.
Okay.
I got fired again. That's what happened. Fired myself. Like this guy's
You got tar
always-
boshed. This
He's-
is Murphy.
Harbaugh is like, I told you I would block you.
You are now blown. You are fully blown.
1,000 curses on you and your camel.
You would not like being blown again.
You want to be blown again? Keep up.
I will blow you over and over and over.
Keep up, mother ass.
Mother Beach.
So
Bloody bastard.
you're a dirty bastard. So anyway, sorry about that, folks. I don't know what happened there, dude. I don't know. We were just like sitting here and then we were because maybe this guy we were about to talk about. I don't know. Sometimes weird things happen. That's weird. My phone just moved. So and see the connection just keeps I don't know what's going on. We should probably call a technician, get him in here tomorrow.
It's just skittering around.
See it how it keeps showing the connection is not
Yeah, it
good.
doesn't make sense because we're hardwired in.
Something to watch.
Lawrence Morgan, Mother Beach is one of my favorite insults. Mine too, for sure. Mother Beach. See somebody talk about my mama, I talk about their mama. Except mine was what was told by somebody else, by their family. And then they get mad.
Oh my
Don't
God.
talk about my mom.
Okay.
Period. My mom is deceased. You know, get off my subject, my mom, and I'll get off yours. Sorry. No, just as simple as that. But here's the thing, guys. So Alan gets in touch with me and he says, look, I've been trying to get a hold of you since late May. I explained politely that I didn't give a shit about him. I said, look, I don't give a shit about you. All right. That's not what. And he's actually just messaged me. So he is in the chat.
He's watching.
Yeah, he says he's not able to comment.
Who?
Alan,
Alan.
the guy that story. that
Oh
I'm
yes,
telling.
yes.
You know what? Let me change the chat restrictions because right now you can only chat if you're a subscriber for 3 days.
Okay, so
So
what do we do?
I'll just open it up.
Mods, just keep an eye out for
The trolls.
truth.
Well, the trolls are subscribed to us, so they can already comment.
Yeah. Just pay attention, mods. All right. So here's what ended up happening. He told me a story. He says, I have a pale crawler story. And indeed he did. And I went back to
And
that.
did he did?
Indeed he did. Indeed he did. And Diddy did. Diddy did it. We all know Diddy did it. That's why he's in the county.
He was talking like Misery now.
It's for the best. Trust me. I'm your number one fan. Misery loves company. Anybody ever heard that Anthrax song about misery? So, do you remember a guy? Speaking of that, do you remember a guy that was threatening to kill me if I ever stopped the show?
Yeah.
Y'all remember that?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so that guy ramped up when we had quit, and he kept giving me like ultimatums, and then he would give me another ultimatum, and I kept telling him, "I'm not coming back. I don't want to do the show. I'm good." Blah blah blah. And then, but these people that kept on, thank goodness for them, because they actually just made me want to come back. Or I probably, if they would have left me alone during that period of time and been giving me the peace that I wanted, I would have stayed gone. But they didn't, and so here I am.
Ta-da.
Yeah, ta-da, abracadabra. So this guy, he gets in touch with me. So I go back to that time, and apparently at that time, because I was so slammed with work, having to help with my business partner, what happened was immediately after he got put into the hospital, I ended up getting rid of a couple of patrol people because he was in charge of the patrols and I was in charge of the standing, and I was like, they were like, well, this is how we've always done it. I'm going to do it this way because I'm going to do what I want to do. And I'm like, well, then you don't have a job, period. Like, not like I fired myself, but like for real, goodbye. And so they were like, well, then do it yourself. And I'm like, then I will. And we did. And we're still doing it. And it's worked out. And it's being done right. And I've actually, at first, Nelly can attest to this. It sucked. I didn't like it. I was like, I'm up all night and then I got to be up all day. But I literally thank you, Richard, for that donation. We greatly appreciate it. But then I was like, you know what? When the great Mushu is there, Mushu's been working. But, you know, I thought about it and I was like, you know what? At least it's getting done right. It's one less headache. And so working the patrol at night, we've had a couple, at least 3 that I can think off the top of my head, weird things happen to us. So we decided we were going to save those up and eventually talk about some of the weird little deals that we've seen at night since late May. So I decided to take over the patrol, or at least 2 of the routes, and do them myself, me and Anthony. But it added an enormous amount of work on top of all the work we already have. So like tonight, whenever I want to do the show, I got to have somebody go do my job, which is fine. I mean, I need to take a little more time away anyway. I need to do more of this, you know. And so this guy sent me this story, right? So then I go back into the files, and apparently at that time, and I make these files, I don't even remember doing it. It's just kind of robotic. And I had one for that period, and it had my business partner's name on there. It was like, you know, when it said Marty period, like period, whatever, like Marty, you know, and then there was just like a period right there. I don't know what that's for, but I guess it was because at that time I didn't have time to look at a bunch of people's stories. And so I was tossing them all into a folder. And so from the end of May until the beginning of July, and then of course we were under constant stressed out and constant attack because these people don't work because they have plenty of time to do stupid things. We were sitting there stressed out, working and doing all this stuff. I just started throwing things into a folder, which was not the smartest thing to do. I admit that. But I opened it up and holy crap, there were like 40 stories in there. Because I think what it was is it was going to be a temporary file and I was going to have so I found Alan's original story. And so thank you for that. And then I found another one by a guy named Lucas. And I found another one by another person that wants to remain anonymous. I'll call her L. And she was very adamant about that. She works for a hospital. She considers herself an amateur ghost hunter. And so this is what's so weird. This is true story. The top 3 stories in that file from that time were all about the crawler. That's so crazy. So then you couple that with the 24 other stories we haven't fleshed out yet. And I said, man, we got to do a pre-record on this, maybe a 2-parter, and then throw it out there on the live stream too, you know? And so I don't even know what you named this one, what you labeled it.
It's just kind of a placeholder title. I called it impromptu cryptid encounters. Story something.
So this is it is cryptid, but it's okay. I'll start with the first one. Alan's story was crazy because you remember I told you guys on the live stream on Sunday that there was somebody who had given us a story about what looked like a Dogman chewing on another one that it wasn't really a Dogman though. It looked like it was more human-like.
Yeah.
Okay, so that person was listening and he messaged me and he says, look, he says, and he goes by the nickname of BB. So BB tells me, he says that I didn't tell it 100% correct course because I was just saying I haven't really had a chance to go and look at that. So that story is weird as hell. Okay. He was with a friend too. And they were kids when they saw that. They were not grown adults. They were like teenagers. And he said that they were kind of emo kids. Well, he didn't say they were emo kids. And they were out walking around at night, you know, and they were into like evil and darkness, man. No, I'm just kidding. But they were out walking around. He goes, and now they're in their late 20s, you know, and almost 30. But this happened when they were teenagers. So I'm thinking it was about 14, 15 years ago when this happened. And what was interesting to me, in fact, I know one of them was 28 now, going on 29. So there was 14 years ago because when he was 14, his friend was 15. And so BB, and I think it was his friend Larry, they were walking down this path and they see these two creatures. Now, I'm gonna stop that story right there because I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna tell you the weird crap that was told to me by Alan. Alan has a story that was quite remarkable. Now, get this. Alan, this story is somewhere between an abduction and I don't know what you would. It's a cryptid encounter, but it's also like an abduction. Okay. Okay, so he was out riding a bike. He was a mountain bike rider. He was 32 years old when this happened. Okay, this was in 2019. All right, like 6 years ago. Right, and it happened in like I think March or something. So it's almost 6 years. Right. So in March it'll be 6 years. And so he says, dude, I had a crazy thing happen to me. I was riding my bike, and this is here in Austin. This happened here, right here. Okay, but not like Austin, it's the ultra metropolitan area. It's down near Kyle. Now, if you go, hey guys, I have a serious question. I don't know if you guys could help me. I know you can because you don't, but maybe you can.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you get on Mopac and you get down to where it starts to become like the toll down
toll
going toward Kyle.
Yeah.
And then you have to exit off. You know, that roundabout, you kind of, it's like that's not a roundabout, but you turn and then they have the elk crossing sign.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I found out about that. I actually asked somebody about that. And I said, dude, a friend of mine actually works for the city. And he said that he knows about that. That sign's that's a mistake. There's no elk down there. That's an elk crossing sign. And they were sent that by mistake. So they put up 2 or 3 of them in that area and they just didn't take that one back down and put the deer sign up. Cause I was like, hey, what do you know about that? And he said, well, that's not in my jurisdiction, but I know what happened. He goes, cause we got those signs and they put them up. So that's really, there's an elk crossing sign there. I always laugh.
Yeah.
This is a big old elk. And I'm like, elk down here.
Yeah.
There's deer, maybe mule deer, but, and so he tells people jokingly, he says, yeah, there's a large deer problem, like large deer. And so they'll cross the road, right? So, yeah. So what ends up happening, right there, when you make that turn, I don't know. I wish I knew what road that was. If you could look it up so the folks at home could, because he told me, he says, there's a road right there. And he gave me the name of it, whatever. Cause I called the guy up and we talked but it wasn't a very long conversation. He goes, it's all right there. I wrote it. And so when you're turning right there, there is a pathway right there. There's like a sidewalk. And there's like a trail right there next to it. People ride their bikes in that area. Okay. So if you could look it up real quick. It's right there before you get into Kyle, or is it Buda? No, it's before you get to Buda. Right. It's right there it's like that area between Austin and Buda. And so that's where he was at. He was riding his bike through there. And it's a pretty neat little trail. I've seen it. I know what he's talking about. I know where it's at, but I can't tell you the name of the road. He gave it to me, and I just kind of did not, because I thought, I know where that's at, and I didn't commit that to memory. But anyways, that road, when it curves, you can either go east or west. And when you go east, it goes to another road, and then that takes you to Kyle. That's a good way to go to San Marcos. We take it that road. If you go to the right, when it forks, you end up on a toll road, and that takes you out to 290 West, I believe. And then eventually that will drive you into Marble Falls and then Burnet, where there are a lot of encounters with strange things out there too. This guy was riding his bike. He said it was 11:30 at night, right? He said 11:30 at night. He goes, and I wasn't thinking anything about anything. He goes, I just had an argument with my fiance, and I was pretty pissed off. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to go for a ride. And I got in my bike and I took off. And he goes, I wasn't thinking about anything. I just was thinking about getting away from her and her BS. And so he said, I was riding my bike. He's like, and I see this thing move across. And I've seen something like this before when I was on patrol. And I don't even consider this one of the weirdest things that's happened to us on patrol, but it is a weird thing. And he said he saw this thing like run across the road really fast. What it was, he had no clue. He just said it was like a white flash. And I just poked my eye. Hang on.
Why did you do that? You want to...
And I was saying a prayer too. Thank God I didn't actually poke it worse. So he sees this white flash go across the road. Now, y'all remember one night we were driving on the patrol, and I saw something go across the road, and I said it was white, and it was so fast, but it just looked like a dog, like the size of a medium-sized dog run across the road. Now I'm wondering, when you see something like that, what that really is, because some of these stories involve people seeing like flashes, like quick flashes, and then they'll see something. Another person gave Nellie a story, I believe. Wasn't it you? Are you?
Huh?
What are you doing? Because I need you to pay. I need you.
Oh, sorry, I was watching the chat.
Yeah, because we need people to moderate. Tell Scorpion D and M to be paying attention. That's all you gotta do. Somebody gave you a story, and they saw a flash of light.
Yes. And what else with it?
Okay, I did. So, never mind.
Sorry.
If I remember correctly, I thought you had. I don't know who this person is.
Yeah, I know who it was. It was Ricardo.
Who?
Ricardo.
Well, you just said their name. Do we have permission to even say that? You probably shouldn't have done that.
Okay.
From now on, don't.
It was Ricky Ricardo, his wife.
No,
Lucy.
I'm being serious. We don't say their names because I don't want any.
It was when he was little, and
we're not going to get into the whole story, but
Okay.
he saw something from the flash of light.
Yes.
I think it was a crawler. Yes or no?
It was something like that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, and sorry but I have to get this because it's in my mind. So, okay. So just recently we had somebody. We were just talking about it. So there's all these kind of coincidences colliding. And there's no coincidences, folks. Believe me. Okay. And I'm sorry, Ricardo, if we weren't supposed to say it. I'm sorry for saying your name. But we'll just stick with the first name, right? Okay. So if it's who I think it is, doesn't he run a business?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not going to get into it. So I know who you're talking about. So what ends up happening is these people are seeing these like flashes, but sometimes those flashes look like light, and then sometimes they just look like something that moves really quickly from one side of their peripheral to the other, like real quick, and then they know that they're on cocaine. Ricardo's like, what? Lucas too. I'm not on cocaine, not anymore. I'm done with that. That's like 3-4 hours ago. No, I'm joking. But are y'all cold?
I'm not.
Yeah, my legs are freezing. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sitting here in my underwear, so yeah, of course.
I was kind of hot, so I turned the AC on.
Oh, what the? It's 40 degrees outside.
Yeah, but it's burning up in here.
No, it is not.
It's hot here.
Oh my God, what are y'all doing?
Do you have a fever?
I'd like to have one of those. You got any more of those?
Yeah. You want this one or the Coke?
No, this one's fine. Thank you.
You want some?
Sure. Yes, Maddie, I turned the AC on. We're not doing the show outside.
They turn the AC on because they have the ventilation. I don't know.
I don't know why people act like, oh, it's cold. It's so cold outside. It's so terrible. Yeah, it's cold, but we're not living outside.
No. You're betraying my secrets, woman. Stop it.
How did yourself?
I don't want people to make more videos of me. Actually, I do. I hope you do. It gives me lots of exposure. That's my plan. I want people to talk about me all the time. Please do. Every little thing you do and say just helps make me more happy. I'm so narcissistic. As I told you before, I have my look, red steel. I'm working on it, but anyway. So what happened was Alan told me a story. He says, look, I'm riding my bike. I have a mountain bike. And he goes, and I see something run across the road. He goes, initially, I thought it was a coyote. Now, here's what's weird is we got 3 of them right there together. Boom, 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 boom. They were all in late May. Weird, right? So then he goes, I keep riding my bike and I cross over the spot where it, ran across the road. And I look, I'm thinking, I don't have a gun on me or anything. I'm unarmed. I'm riding my bike. I am completely vulnerable. And in that area, there are some big freaking coyotes. I know because I've worked out there. And so he goes, at that point, I look up and I see in the sky, like hovering really low, what looks like a yellow, but he goes, at first I thought the moon was just like, it was weird. It was like the moon had come down and it was like right there to my right. He's like, and I look up and I see this like bright yellow light. And I'm thinking, damn, the moon is huge, because, and we kind of joked about it. I said there was a Ren and Stimpy cartoon where Ren walks out and hits the moon and gives him a black eye or whatever. It's like, so he looks, he sees the moon and he goes, it's not the moon. It's just a ball of light. It's an orb. And he's like, and then I remember seeing like that white thing run across the road. He goes, I don't know what that was. He's like, but then he's like, I see this little white, pale, bulbous headed thing like hopping behind me. He goes, and then it looks like its arms have elongated. He goes, I'm looking back at it, it's over my right shoulder. And he's like, it's moving, and then it moves over to my left, and I'm looking. He goes, but the road is to my left. And I know where this happened. I want to go out there on this trail because now I have 2 stories from that spot. And so he's riding his bike and he goes, this thing starts running alongside me. He goes, and then it starts to sort of like morph. He goes, and the more that I look back at it, he goes, the damn thing started looking like a freaking coyote, to the point where it looked like a weird deformed coyote with long limbs running alongside behind him on his left side. And he's like, what in the hell is going on? So he just keeps riding his bike, trying to get away from this thing. He's like, and then he's getting faster and faster. It's going faster and faster. And it was like pretty far back. And now it's like, he goes, and he couldn't tell me exactly how far back, but he wrote that it was catching up to him. He's like, and the next thing you know, he's like, it's right behind me. I look down, I see the shadow of this wolf, coyote, whatever. And he goes, and then I'm flying forward on my bike. He's like, and I'm flying through the air. Like, he goes, I'm not even joking. He goes, I'm going, head over heels. It's not his words. Dang. But he said ass over elbows. But still, I'm like, he goes, I'm going,
Oh.
What's up?
Oh, he's going.
He's going. Yeah, he's going. He's going. So he goes, wee! So he goes, but probably wasn't as fun for him as it is for us to hear about. So he's flying through the air and he goes, and then I land in this like mesquite. There's like some mesquite bushes, and he goes, and I realized I'm like pretty far from when I set up. He goes, I'm like far away from the road, and I'm standing there. He goes, and I got mesquite thorns in me. Now, if you don't realize, mesquite thorns can kill you.
Yeah, they're dangerous.
They're poisonous. We have this thing, it's green mesquite fever. Like if it gets you, that's just what the old timers would call it. I don't hear too many people call it that anymore, but they're like the mesquite thorns, mesquite fever. It'll kill you. It's a poison. So mesquite thorns, they'll literally poison you. And so even barbecuing with it, like they strip it. To make sure that the top layer is gone before they use it to burn. It gives stuff a really good flavor, but it also is poisonous. So anyways, better to be safe than sorry, right? So he gets stuck by these thorns, and he's got them in his arm and in his leg and in his butt cheek. Yes, yes. And so he says, dude, I'm having, some issues there. And I'm standing there. He goes, and then I see these 2 pale little crawler humanoid looking things walking toward me.
This is one thing after another.
They're the same. It was the same beings, except there was 2. He's like, and then he's like, I'm standing there, I'm staring at them. And he goes, and they kind of start to become blurry, kind of like vibrating. And then all of a sudden he goes, it's daylight. And I'm looking, and I'm like walking around looking for my bike. He goes, and the mesquite thorns were gone. And he thought, man, I'm going to have to take care of this when I get back. My fiance is going to have to help me. She's a nurse. And so he was like, you know, I'm in luck. She's a nurse, and I have these mesquite thorns. She can help them get them out of me and off of my butt cheek and, you know, whatever. He goes, but there's none on my arm. There's no marks on his arm. There's no marks on his butt cheek. There's on his leg, on his ankle where he got them, nothing. But he did remember flying into a mesquite bush. And he thought that was weird because here's what I said when I broke it down for him. I said, this is what I think happened to you, Alan. And I'm going to tell you, this is probably what this is what I believe. I think what happened was he flew off of his bike because that thing hit the back of his bike or did something, you know. He felt an impact. And then he flew because when I talked to him, all I did was go over the points because we were both in a hurry. So we had to kind of go over the points, the talking points. And I said, look, did you feel an impact on the back tire? He said, yes, I did. I said, okay. So then it hit the bike. Possible hand, paw, whatever. So when he flew forward and then he stood up and he was like, I said, approximately how far were you from the trail? He said about 40 to 50 yards.
Dang.
Folks, you're not going to get hit and then go flying and then all of a sudden you float to your right off to the south because it's north to south or southwest. He would be going southwest.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we're going to go out there and I'll show you where it happened. He gave me like pretty good coordinates. I just can't remember the name of the road, but I know where it's at. And I can go back and I could look it up in my email, but it's too much trouble. But anyway, he goes and he flies, you know, off to the southwest. No way an accident of any kind on a bike is going to make you fly that far off of the impact, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he wasn't hit by a car.
Yeah.
He was hit by a scrawny, you know, whatever. But it was a wolf, or he couldn't say it was like wolf-like, but it was like a coyote. He didn't know. And so it made him go flying off another direction. And he's not from this area originally. He's only been here for a few years. But he says he gets up, and that's when he saw those two things kind of standing there observing him. And they were speaking, but he couldn't understand what they were speaking. But they weren't moving their mouths, but he could hear words in his head. Mm. And they were talking to one another. And they were very much like, okay, the way he described it to me, and I wish we had artists to give you the descriptions of these. I thought about turning it over to, what's her name?
Sibylla Irwin?
Sibylla Irwin, yeah. So I was going to reach out to her and have him give her the description so I'm going to start doing that with these beings that people see, and I'm going to have artists do a rendering of them. If you're an artist and you want to be involved in helping us do this so that we can post these on Paranormal Roundtable, the group, so you can see, and we're gonna put them. This is a sketch from episode such and such, right? So anyway, Alan's story is pretty intriguing. So he tells me by the time that those two beings were standing there, the next thing you know, they look blurry, and then it's daylight. And I said, please tell me that you looked at the time prior to seeing these two little diminutive dudes. And he says, no, I didn't. But he goes, I knew it was probably like 3 or 4 in the morning. He's like, there was no traffic, nobody driving by. He goes, it was dead out there. And I said, why do you think that? And he says, because I've been out there at that time of night. I ride my bike out there, and I've never ran into anything other than a snake. He almost got bit by a rattlesnake. And he said that it was terrifying. He goes, these beings, they had these weird-looking teeth, but little mouths with big bulbous heads, or at least at the top of their heads was kind of bulbous-like. And he said that they had little poochy abdomens and long, skinny limbs. To me, and this is me talking, okay, not him, but to me, okay, and shout out to his best friend. She's the one that she's a dental hygienist, whatever. She gave him our information to get in touch with us. But he had been listening to the show for a little while. And they look like a cross between a tall gray, the tall grays,
Mm-hmm.
the difference between them and the small grays. People don't know that. The tall grays mixed with a pale crawler. That's what it looked like.
Ugly.
Yeah. So, and then this thing was able to shapeshift and manipulate whatever matter and become a coyote looking thing. So you have this weird dynamic going on. This guy goes flying end over end, and he encounters this these weird beings. That's one story, right? And then that's all I have. I don't really have anything else. And so he asked the obvious question. He says, "Do you think I was abducted?" I said, "You definitely had missing time. What they did to you is very simple. They anal probed you. I mean, that has to be first and foremost.
Happens every time.
Every time. And, you know, that's without fail. Let me move that over a little bit. I can't see your beautiful face. There you go. So, I mean, what do y'all think?
I mean, it sounds like a classic. Like, I mean, if he's got missing time, he saw these things, and then he can't, like, you can't put together what happened in that time afterwards. I don't know. So, is that all you have from him, or did he say like what his life has been like afterwards?
So far, right
Anything
now, that's
different?
all we had because he was headed to an appointment when we were trying to get the talking points out, and I told him, "Hey, we'll revisit this," you know, which is something I try to do, but it's like I can rarely get it done. Folks, let me just give you some advice about me. I'm going to tell you the truth, okay? If we talk or we're on the phone and I tell you, "Hey, we'll get back in touch or revisit this," don't depend on me. Please, if you have more to tell, get in touch with me and badger the crap out of me, okay? I kid you not. I'm not even joking. A lot of people use Messenger to get in touch with me. If you have me on Messenger, stay with it because these guys can tell you I am a extremely busy person. And my life is like divided into folders. Okay. So I need to be able to, you know what I mean? Like, I mean,
Joe breathing.
Yeah, Joe, you remember we were hanging out in the old Iron Bear there, or the old Iron Bull, or no, wait, the Iron Bear is the name of the place. I am the bull, or the bear. What is it they call me?
Who knows?
The baby bear.
Oh yeah.
But somebody called me the bull or something one day, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know which one I want to be called.
Did you see Lawrence?
When you're big and gay, you know, you got to have that name, you know, that shows that you're like, I'm gay, but I want to be called a big, strong animal. So you got to pick one. So I don't know. I like bear and I like bull too, but I kind of like a wolf, you know,
big gay wolf,
you know, whatever. It's crazy, stupid people. There you go. There's my favorite moniker right there, given to me by the old cosplayer. The old hammer. Hammer of the gods is coming down. Strike and hit you without a sound. I don't know, I'm just talking. I don't know what the freaking heck. Anyway,
how about
man bear pig, man bear truffles.
Deadpool. Thank you.
Sounds like an ultra terrestrial. John Keel talks about shapeshifters serving time frame encounters in his book Eighth Tower. Thank you. I didn't know that. But yeah, I know that there's, you know, I mean, I know that there's stuff like that, but I didn't know that he had a book that you talked about that specifically called The Eighth Tower. So here's what we got, what we take away from Alan's story. Yeah, oh, you guys, some of the stuff y'all come up with. Oh man. Tarbosh Bear. Yeah. Hey, Spooktator Bob, how you doing?
I haven't seen you in a while.
So you have all these stories that people send you, and it runs the gamut. I mean, you know, but what are the odds though? Now think about it, Anthony. You know how jumbled up some of them folders are. Courtesy of Tony. We blame him. We don't just blame him. It was him. I mean, you know.
Yeah, but we do just blame him.
Tony's just like,
it's just kind of easier.
Shapeshifter. We don't know anything about those. Let me just put those all in one file. All of them. And then that's this every story. Well, this one doesn't even involve shapeshifting. That is what I call a pre-shifter. a post shifter. Sorry. No, we're not just picking on Tony. No, Tony admits it. He owns up to it. He's like, dude, look, I made some mistakes. I did, you know. But to his credit, though, I mean, like, you know, what's his name? Armando. He had the files all like jumbled up because he had all these different people he was talking to, and he had different leads. And so when I went back and I looked, there was a lot of incompletes, and I was like, why is all this stuff incomplete? Because he hadn't fleshed them out yet. He wasn't done talking to those people. So he had people that he was in talking to, and it was kind of sad because a few of them did not know that he had passed. And I was like, well, he's passed, but can I talk to you about your encounter? Maddie says, we'll let you tackle those emails. It's not the emails, it's the files, it's the folders. But you're in luck because me and Anthony have gotten most of them untangled. There are still a few loose ones that pop up. Now, on my old computer, there was a whole bunch of stuff in there. So we were going to get rid of it, throw it, whatever. And then Anthony was like, hey, we need to see what's on it. So we went in and we looked and we found a whole bunch of other crap in there. But can you imagine filling up your email twice? Like, that is crazy. That is insane. Okay. And I'll tell you why. Because we have real numbers. We have real subs. We have real people who send real stories. It's none of this AI generated fake story crap. And it's not this fake, views, comments, and likes, and what else can you buy? The subs. Mm-hmm. These are real people. Now, I would hazard to guess a lot of these people who got these 40, 50,000, they're probably not real. I know a few that are totally legit, but some that are faking the funk, and they probably don't get the kind of stuff we get. You got people with like, in the 20s and thousands of whatever, and you're like, yeah, right. Bull crap. They drop a show and 10 people watch it. Okay. No way that those are real subs. I mean, let's be real here. But we have a lot of people, and a lot of people know us because we go out in public, and it's not every day. But like I'd say every few days when we go out, people do recognize us, And so, hey, Alan, how you doing? He says, I hate fake stories. There you go. And so, yeah, because they just put them through a computer, and it's bullcrap. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's bullcrap. It's not even, you can tell. I mean, it's not even like, you can tell when somebody's like giving you something that's real. Because I've had people try to pass off stories to me, and we've run it through and been like, come on, man. Oh, seriously? And then they get mad, and a couple of them are in the other, and they're like, yeah, I hate him. Well, of course you do, because I busted you. So now you're going to go crazy, Yep, fake news, fake stories. There you go. A bunch of the funk. Yep, that's it. That's what they're doing, folks. And there's a lot of them doing it. And I'm never going to sit up here and tell you, just listen to me. I'm the best. I'm the best. I don't know if I'm the best. I don't even know if I'm in the top 5 of the worst. All I know is we do what we do. And I know who I like and who I think is doing good work. Tonight, earlier, BMR knocked it out of the park with the guy he had on there tonight. I can't remember his name. I only got to watch parts of it, but he had a good show, and the guy was talking about a lot of stuff. I got to go back and really, take a look at it. Joe Breezy.
Did you see Ace?
Mm-hmm.
We called them trifling hosts back in the day. Yeah, that's what they are. So anyways, back to the story. So what we have is Alan's story, which is just it's a really a crazy encounter that happened to him. And now if you listen to what I was saying earlier, there were 2 guys that were walking along, and they heard some kind of commotion, growling, fighting, whatever, snarling, and they saw one creature attacking, biting another that looked similar but not the same. Now, we don't get a lot. We do get some reports like that, but don't we get a lot? We don't get a lot of them. But there is one story that I'm going to tell you, okay? And then I'm going to go back to that one, okay? The guy's name is BB, okay? And I'm going to tell you what happened. They witnessed, him and his friend Larry, they witnessed this creature chewing and like he was eating, like there was a big chunk of what looked like the thigh was gone from this creature. Mm-hmm. Arash, now you have personally sat there across from Arash, and Nelly, you might have too, when we were at Spinners, and Arash told us, it was me, y'all, I think Bully was there, Adam and Frazier, we were all there. Those are friends of mine from the old days. Starscream, everybody. And he told that story to a bunch of us about the thing that he saw bent down
on the side of the road.
on the side of the road at
Mhm.
Ditmar, eating something which he thought was a homeless person. He even called the police. He was like, "Dude, this is crazy." But it appears that the hunter became the hunted because this creature looked like the way that BB and Larry described it was like the wolf man,
Mhm.
sort of like in mid transformation, being chewed on and eaten by a full-fledged werewolf, as they called it. These guys are not Dogman fans, okay? And in fact, it was Larry that found me through the Vampire Confessions, because he's a total vampire fan, and he's like, I've always believed that vampires were real, but not werewolves.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? I was like, man, I'm gonna tell all the werewolves you said that.
I'm telling on
you.
you.
Are so dead, dude. They're gonna come after
You're
you.
in trouble.
Man.
I'm a
They're
tell.
gonna eat your ass, bro. I'm just saying, and not like the Iron Bull way. Like they're gonna get you, eat you, like that. So if you look at like this situation, that creature that Arash saw, what he thought was eating someone, whatever, this thing was being eaten. And I didn't say where this actually happened at. I'm going to say this, and I'm not going to give too far into this. It happened in Kansas City, right? That's all I can say, because that neighborhood, one of them still lives there, and now he is the homeowners association representative, president. And I told him, I said, "Oh, so the encounter turned you completely evil. I see now that are you a communist too?" And he started laughing. He goes, "Yes." I said, "Okay, I knew you were. I knew you were." Can't trust it. But anyway, no, he is very much embedded in that part of the community. So we'll just say that it was in Kansas City. And they were walking and they saw this thing. And this was like, now it is kind of in the suburbs of Kansas City, Missouri. It's kind of in the subs, right? It's not a terrible neighborhood. He goes, but it was crazy that, that he goes, we saw it. He goes, and it looked up. He's like, it was chewing on this thing. He goes, and the other thing was like kind of groaning, like it was dying. And it was just all this blood coming off of it. And he goes, and it looked up, and it was just like, it kind of goes like, kind of lifted up its side of its mouth. And they just kept doing what it was doing and was not interested in us at all.
It's like, leave me alone, I'm eating.
And it was like destroying whatever that was. And he said the other thing looked like, a partial werewolf. I mean, that's all he could describe it. And so him and his friend took off running the other direction. And he said that his friend tripped on his own trench coat. He goes, we quit dressing like that after. He kind of joked about it. But BB seems like a pretty level-headed dude. I mean, he's a computer programmer guy now. He doesn't live there anymore, but Larry does. And Larry's, or I got that backwards. BB still lives there. Larry does not. But he's a programmer, and they seemed like they were pretty credible guys. I talked to both of them briefly. But then, okay, so I had another story that was really, really riveting, and this one really freaked me out. And I don't want to just okay. Me and Nellie were talking about this the other day when I got it. I had just gotten this one, but here's the rub. Okay, this person had, and I hate, this is sad. This is a sad thing. But she said, my boyfriend emailed you back in May. Get this. So I go back and I look, and it was 2 days after the BB and Larry story, and 3 days after Larry's story, or Alan's story. Her boyfriend, who passed away in a motorcycle accident, he was overseas. He was in Europe, and he was in Italy. So he had messaged me about something, but he passed away. So sad to hear about that. I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but I talked to her. Okay. So Gwendolyn, thank you for staying with it and getting the story to me. Her boyfriend was a big fan of the show. Rest in peace. Okay. And all I can say is
I'm sorry.
The motorcycle thing is, we lost Tom Cardos, a really good guy, to the motorcycle wreck, and rest in peace for him.
If you ride, please be safe.
Oh, my eyes are burning. Are your eyes burning?
No, would you like some eye drops?
No.
Then don't complain.
You
You
are
don't want to
not
take the
nice.
cure. It's not
You
my
are not
problem.
nice. One day you will be blown. You will be blown. Trust me. Blowing hard. Boom. That's all I'm saying. So, so she gives me this story. She says when he was overseas, because he used to like to go, because his family originally was from Italy and Spain. Like he had family in Italy and Spain, and that's where he was from. And so she said he liked to go back home and visit, and that's what happened when he had the motorcycle accident. And he was riding his motorcycle, and it was so weird because right after I got the story about there was a story I had involving pale crawlers and Dogman. Now, have you guys listened to the episode? Raise your hands if you've heard the episode, Dogman and the Rake Connection.
Oh yeah, we did that one a little while back.
It's been a while.
It was a kind of an early episode.
Yeah, it's actually PRT is coming up on its 6th anniversary
Yeah.
in a couple months. It was the day it was my mother's birthday. So on my mother's birthday will be the anniversary of PRT. So people, if you haven't listened to that episode, you need to go back and listen to it because I have a story that's going to just break it wide open. Like it's crazy. So this person messaged me and gave me a story, but this one is crazy because it happened to her boyfriend. Now he had sent me this one when he was, before he had his accident, whatever, when he was traveling overseas. Or he was overseas, and when he was riding his bike with his brother and his cousin got way out ahead of him. And he says, this is what's funny about reading this story, and not funny in a ha-ha way, but a strange way.
Mhm.
He says, I was one of those, I was always very careful. And according to what I was told, the accident was not his fault. Okay. He rode his motorcycle from Italy to like 2 other countries, and it happened where he passed away actually was not Italy. It was in Eastern Europe. I can't remember which country. But he had ridden his bike almost 400 miles.
Dang.
And you can go between 2 or 3 countries 400 miles in Europe.
Mhm.
Europe's not that big. But he was riding his bike, and he was in an Eastern European country, and I want to say Romania, which would make sense. The Romans conquered Romania. That's why it's called that. It was called Dacia before. And so they end up riding their bikes. He goes, and my brother and my cousin got way ahead of me and my friends. Me and my friend were kind of hanging back. He's like, and then my friend says, man, I'm really tired. I want to pull over, And so they've been riding for a while. And so he had to wait because you can't just call your friend who's going to, they're riding a bike, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And he goes, they always kind of rode out ahead of me. He goes, my friend was getting tired. He was still sort of an amateur. Not that he was a professional rider or whatever, but he said, this guy was a noob. And so they pulled over, like I know. I've been on a bike one time, scared the shit out of me. I'm like, never ride a bike again. I'm good. Dirt bike, yeah. I'll ride a dirt bike if it's on one of those little kiddie tracks, those little short ones. I'm all over that. I'll be like, get out of the way, 6-year-old. I'm popping wheelie. Ooh, and they're like, sir, this is a stationary bike, and you're not even putting quarters into it. And I'm like, it's because I don't have any. Like, can you leave the Safeway, please? Okay, fine. Discriminating against big people. Let's see how it is. There's a child sitting there, like, yeah, I keep crying. Yeah, whatever. It's always about the little people. So, anyways. No, dude, I got on a motorcycle one time. My friends from Lebanon, they were over here, and everybody apparently in overseas loves motorcycles and rides the shit out of them. And they like danger and death and stuff. So they're like, come on, man. My friend Hadi, he's like, you're right. Come on. Like, get the motorcycle. Come on. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm 16. I don't know shit about this. Let's do it. I get on the bike. I'm like, and I'm like,
Hello, darkness, my
old friend. Oh my God, I'm about to hit the earth again.
I'm as free as a bird now.
Oh yes, I rocked it, bro. I hit the ground. Okay. And then, you know, when I was young, I fell off a horse. They said, get back on. And I did. I was a little baby. I was a little toddler. And I've ride horses. Don't bother me. I can ride a horse. Horse takes off. I'm like, I can get control of a horse. I'm not one of those like, hey, I'm scared. I'm scared. Hey, I thought I was a cowboy. I guess I'm not. I was raised around horses. I'm not. Hoofed animals can get a little nervy around me because I'm big. Not because I'm a werewolf. They don't even. I don't tell them that. They don't know. But so yeah. But a motorcycle scared the shit out of me, dude. Okay, I'm embarrassed. My wife, she's like, yeah, I used to ride my bike all over the place. I used to do these poker runs and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I haven't. No, I got on a bike, scared the crap out of me, never did it again. But that was something I did not get back up on. I was 20, 30 feet up in the air, if not higher up. And my friends were all in awe that I was like flying through the air. I was flying through the air like Kobe, dude. All right. I was Tim Duncan, you know? So this guy, so kudos, people can ride. I'm not one of those people. Okay. But this person, man, he was riding his motorcycle. His friend's like, I'm really tired. His friend pulled over on the side of the road, so he pulled in with his friend, and they're on their bikes, and they just taking their helmets off, and they're talking, whatever. His friend's Italian, so I imagine they were speaking Italian. And so he said, he goes, we hear this something like mimicking our voices. He's like, and get this is a wild ass story, folks. And like I said, I think his yeah, I see my hair. It's beautiful. Thank you for noticing. Yes, it's called hair. Yes. Imagine I have like all this luscious locks. Like,
We're gonna get a wig and a fan.
evil eyebrows to make me use them. Shoot laser beams from you.
Oh my gosh, you're turning into anime.
You know what happened to you, bro? Fireball, chain lightning, or some shit. I don't know. So he says, dude, we're sitting there now. You got to check this story out. This story was so incredible. Okay, I had to read it twice. And that's just because I read all stories twice. But no, seriously, I was like, what? And so and I never got to speak to this guy, but I talked to his girlfriend who's, you know, that survived him or whatever. But he was there and he goes, we hear this noise that it sounds like us, like whenever we would talk. And I told my friend, shh, I hear something, you know, like, and so his friend was like, you know, what is it? You know? And then he hears in Italian, like, what is it? Like repeating what he said. And so then they stop and then he tells his friend, you know, he's like, this thing is, it's mocking us. And then he hears, like in this muffled voice, and I'll do the best I can to try to what I think it would sound like. And it was like, it's mocking us. Kind of like it was muffled.
Like the Predator.
Well, unlike the Predator. Well, if I made it like the Predator, I screwed it up.
Okay.
Because I asked her.
Well, no, because the Predator.
She said that her boyfriend was very specific. It sounded like if you put your hand over your mouth and you kind of let it off while you're talking. She's like, that's the only way he could do it. But it was like if you talk like this and it's going like that. That's what she told me. Okay, so I'm doing the best I can to try to imitate what it was, but it was like it was mocking them. When I started going through my mind, I started thinking, I was like, what could sound like that? And then it hit me, and I called her back, and I said, hey, check this out. And I played a clip from Adam Driver as Kylo Ren in his helmet.
Yeah.
And she goes, I wish he was here to verify that. She goes, but the way that he made it sound was that's what I would imagine. Kind of like Bane with his mask on, you know?
Yeah.
And so it was very weird.
So this thing was in a costume?
Well, no, listen to what I'm going to tell you. No, the way it sounded. But him and his friend were sitting there and there were woods, thick woods, and it was like a little place where they drove up. It wasn't like an official rest stop, but it had like a bench and it was like a little park. And then there was like this, then it was just a bunch of woods. And so they started walking toward the woods and his friend was terrified. He was brave, you know, he wasn't a scaredy guy. And so he was like walking toward it and he said, who's out there? And then he heard, who's out there? Like that, you know, like this. Like it was giving the feedback. He's like, and then his friend says, look, look, look. And he told them. And so they both they saw this creature. Now, this is a weird freaking story. It's freaked me out. And he goes, and it looked like a wolf, kind of, but it had like human-like hands, and it was leaning over like this tree branch, but they could see it kind of hanging there, you know. And then they said they saw its arm kind of go up and go back down, and it looked like the thing's features were not changing. Like it was not. It was weird. He said that he's like, no way that thing is making this noise. And so he told, and he goes, we were even whispering. We weren't talking loud. And she said that he told her we weren't even being loud. But this thing was picking up the voice of what they were, and it was repeating it, you know? And so when they were sitting there and they were looking at each other and they were like, dude, this is bizarre, you know, to say the least. And he says, we got to get out of here, man. He goes, this thing looks like a short werewolf. It's about 5 foot tall, right? But it was leaned over a tree branch. He said, and then he goes, we started backing away because this thing looked like an animated wolf-like creature. And so they just started backing away. And then this thing backed off of the branch and stood upright. And then it started walking toward them, but it swayed kind of back and forth, kind of puppety-like, you know? Mm-hmm. And so when it got around the other side of the tree, they saw it kind of walking toward them, and it started walking faster and faster. And they were just in shock. So they turned and they started to run back to their bikes. When they go to get back on their bikes, they can't start them. They cannot do it. They're just kicking it, starting, trying everything they can. And then they just said, you know what? This thing was getting closer. So they took off running away from their bikes. Then they see this, what looks like a flash of light. And in the corner of the peripheral, they see these two white things go by real fast. And then they thought, oh, well, there's more of them. When they look to the right, in that clearing, they see these two spindly white creatures crawling toward them. Two of them. And then one of them stands up, and he goes, what the F, you know, what is this, you know? And then it repeated it. It was like, what the F, what is this? And it was repeating it. And then they see this wolf-like creature stop, and then it turns and kind of starts to walk off in the other direction, like it was zombified or something, like it was. And they see the other one kind of like moving its hands, and it's whatever it's doing with the hand, the werewolf looking creature was doing that. So then this thing just kind of, and then it did like this weird pushing motion, and the thing took off running into the woods. And then they both turned and were focused back on them. He goes, I look over and my friend is standing there like he's hypnotized. And he's like, oh shit, you know? And so he starts to communicate with these creatures, and he says, look, I don't want any trouble. And they were like, don't want any trouble, like repeated part of what he said. And then he says, look, I'm sorry. I don't know what this is. I don't know what that was. I won't say anything, which was a lie. Obviously, he told his girlfriend, who told me. But he was like, just let me go, please. And so he sees this flash of light behind them, and they both kind of turn and look at it. They look at each other, and then they scurry off on all fours, kind of hopping along back toward the woods, toward the ball of light, or flash of light that was in the back of the woods. So that story, I was like, so I went back and I read the story, and I was just like, what in the holy freaking hell? Two things I took away from what he wrote as opposed to what she told me, which she went way more in depth, was he didn't talk about the voice being anything other than like sounded muffled. She said that he had actually, and so that was a little different. But then also what he wrote in there was that his friend was never the same. That his friend had no memory of what had happened.
Wow.
So that was bizarre. So that happened in Romania. And like, I believe it was southwestern Romania. And he said that, he goes, dude, my brother and them, eventually they're going to look back and see that I'm not there. He goes, every so often, and then they'll stop, you know. He goes, so he says he sees these two lights, you know, coming down the highway. About 10 minutes later, sure enough, it was his friend. And I mean, it was his brother and his cousin, and they came back and they were like, what's going on? And he was just like, you know, I just saw some weird thing. And he told his brother about it. Well, get this. When they get to this hotel that they decided they were going to crash at for the night, the owner of the hotel, which is only a few miles up the road, he goes, there's a little place out in the middle of nowhere. It's like a hotel, whatever. he tells the clerk, whatever, his friend is telling, not the friend, the cousin is telling the hotel clerk, oh yeah, we had to go back and get him. He was over there, and he asks what was wrong with the friend who was still acting like he was kind of like out of it. He said that what had happened was his friend had a weird experience and he wasn't feeling good. And so this guy's wife comes out, and she was in the back doing something. He said it wasn't that far from morning. So it was like, 4 or 5 in the morning, something like that. So she was already up cooking. She comes out and she's like wiping her hands or whatever and asking if they wanted to eat breakfast. And they were really nice people. And it was like a family that ran this little hotel, whatever, like a kind of like a bed and breakfast, but not quite the way they described it. And he said, "What's wrong with them?" And he says, "Look, we had a weird encounter with something out there in the woods." And she told him, the hotel owner's wife said, "Did they touch you?" And he was like, no, they didn't touch us.
Why this?
And then the guy goes, "You're lucky you didn't run into one of those big werewolf looking, creatures or whatever, like wolf-like creatures, whatever." But he was like, "Well, we did." And then when he started questioning them further, he was like, "Were there any other things involved?" And they told him the story. He was like, "Okay." And then the hotel guy that owned the hotel, whatever, that owned his business, he told him that happened to his brother's son, his nephew, years ago, had encountered some creature. And then he looked in the back behind this creature, and he couldn't even he was a little bitty boy. He couldn't describe, all he could describe it was like a bear. He kept saying it was like a bear, right? And he said that there was something behind it that looked like a skinny, pale man that was making the bear pick him up. And it took him and carried him like a long ways away. He got basically abducted. And then they went and they looked for him, and they found him like curled up underneath some like brush. So this happened in Romania. And so anyway, they picked the kid up and they took him back, but as he got older, he's like, my nephew he didn't remember it. He goes, we, the adults, remember him saying that this bear man had grabbed him, and that there was this tall, skinny being in the back. But as he got old, he was only 3 or 4. And they were all at this like park, right? And this thing, he just kind of wandered off because this furry bear was telling him, "Hey, come here." And so he went to go play with it because it seemed friendly, right?
Yeah.
But there was this creature behind it. So anyways, he starts doing some research into it, and he goes back there 2 more times into that area because he is convinced that he's on to something. He wants to know what it is. So he goes back there 2 more times, and when he passed away, that's where he was in that area. So his death was ruled an accident. They still don't know exactly. They say it was a motorcycle accident, but his girlfriend thinks that there was more to it than that. But not real sure what those things are, and what these other cryptids have to do with them. But I have another story, and I'm not going to get into it tonight, but I will on Sunday. We'll get into it. On Friday, I have a guest coming on, Brian Bowden.
Did they specify why they were concerned if it touched them or not? Like,
I didn't get to that part. I didn't even, there was a lot to take in. And
yeah.
so on my part, I'm sorry I didn't ask.
That's okay.
But, so anyway, I thought that was weird. But anyway, he said that the owner of the hotel said that, and so he introduced him to a few other people in that area. And so he went back multiple times with his cousin, Andre, and Andre actually, they developed a rapport with the people in that area. And so he stayed there. And so she went back with him on one of his trips. They flew down there, and they interviewed a few people, like just, asking questions, because his friend ended up with like he would just be doing, he liked to work with wood. He was a woodworker. And then all of a sudden he would just stop and stand there and just be comatose and just be like what's it called? Catatonic.
Yeah.
And he's like, he had to stop working. He couldn't work as a carpenter anymore because his job required skill saws and things.
Mm-hmm.
And he would just stand there, and he ended up cutting one of his fingers off.
Oh.
So that totally screwed his life up. He ended up being you know. So he was curious about this, and this is a guy that they grew up with. It was his brother's best friend. So him and his cousin ended up going back and you know, checking it, you know, see what they could find out. They found like legends and stories of vampires, werewolves, these pale crawling humanoid things. One of the people they talked to, okay, told them something very interesting, and they ran, of all things, a candy store right there in this little town. There's a little town right there. It's neat. It's kind of nestled in. There's some mountains and stuff. And one of the things that, well, not, it was like like big hills, you know, it was really pretty. And one of the things that this person told them, they operated a chocolate candy store, whatever. And there were people that would come, like it was kind of like a touristy place, but mostly known by Europeans. But the person that owned it told them, they said that there are these creatures that will actually, they will fight with one another too. And they have like little packs or cliques, you know, and that these wolf-like creatures, and there's these like hills that have these big holes in them.
Mm-hmm.
That were dug out from the Roman times.
Wow.
The Dacians had actually, they were very rich. They had a lot of gold. There's no gold there now because the Romans completely looted that thing. But they think that there are still very, very large gold deposits deep down in there. And when the Soviets controlled it, get this, there's a whole show we need to do about this because they came through there. And I already know about this. They completely enslaved those people, the Soviets, communists, to make them dig for the gold that was deep down in there that the Romans couldn't get to. But these Romanic, what do you call it? When they took over, I forgot. Thank you for that donation, Deadpool Kid. Thank you for the membership, Izzy. If you are in green, remember we're going to do a giveaway. We'll do it every time, so you could win. So be sure and put your name in green. That's $5. But the Romanic, not invasion, what do you call it? Occupation. Mm-hmm. When the Romans occupied Dacia, it became known as Romania because so many Romans went there. And it was later in Rome's history, it was the last great conquest of Rome. And Rome was completely built upon conquest. Without conquest and the influx of immigration, enslaved immigration in particular, and the use of mining gold and looting. Spain did the same thing, and Spain did the same thing in the 1400s or 1500s. You know, the 16th and 15th centuries. They basically just conquered areas and looted it and took all the gold out of it. You know, people will say, well, Mexico once was just full of gold. And yes, imagine how much gold ended up back in Spain. The Kingdom of Spain was one of the richest, most powerful empires that ever existed because of the gold. Do you know how many gold deposits, or gold shipments actually didn't make it back to Spain? They litter the Atlantic Ocean. There are tons of these ships that were full of gold boarded to go back to Spain, and there are people now that actually make a living. You remember when we were gonna before we decided to re-sign the lease here? We were talking to that guy. I don't remember his name.
Yeah, the guy who was the landlord for that other office complex.
Mm-hmm. And what did he say? He said that he was a diver, mm-hmm. and that what he used to do was go in, galleons. There you go, huge galleons. Let me put that comment on there, Lawrence. So huge galleons that these people would go and they would deep sea dive, and they would go down into these, and some of them are so deep down in there that they can't get to them. But there are tons and tons of these ships that are all over the place, just filled to the brim with gold. And it was a lot of it was from the Andes, from the conquest of the Incans and the conquest of the Mayans and the conquest of the Aztecs. The Spanish, just huge shipments and so they were, nowadays something goes down, it's like, okay, we got sonar, radar, we're gonna go find out what the heck's going on. But back then they were just like, well, the Ortega never showed up. You know,
Yeah.
the Mordecai or whatever. I'm just making up names. I don't know. Never showed up. You know, I mean, the Rigby was lost at sea.
Mhm.
You know, Skips didn't make it.
Aw,
What's the bubble gum?
I
What's
like
his name?
Skips.
What's his name? The one that everybody says is Anthony, the guy that's always mad. The skin,
Oh, the bubblegum guy?
bubble gum head
What's
guy.
his
Uh,
name? I can't
I
remember.
can't remember.
Gumball.
No, I don't know.
I don't remember his
I
name,
forgot
but
his name.
anyway,
It's not important.
yeah. But anyway, that guy. Anyway, but they had these names for these ships, right? And these ships, they would be lost. And so this guy we met, we were going to rent from him, but this place was $200 cheaper, so we decided to stay with what we had. What we nice guy, but he was a diver, and he went down off the coast of Mexico, and he dove down and he pulled up a gold coin. Remember that? He said that, and immediately and it wasn't in Mexico. It was like another country, Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And immediately he was met by the military, and they were like, "Thank you for finding that, and that is ours." And they were all over it. And then they didn't let him take anything. Benson, there you go. So the SS Benson goes down over there off the coast of Costa Rica, and guess what? You ain't taking it. And they're like, "Oh, we've been looking for that. We don't just sit here and smoke cigars and be cartoons. We don't just sit here and be characters on the skit from the Paranormal's table. We're real people, not to be made fun of by Josh Turner. We do a lot of things, and we were about to find that ship when you found that gold. And now, my fat ass will go and take it. They go from you, snatch. Because, like I say, we were about to find it anyway. Okay? Yeah. It's all right. It's all right. You could just see him too, like just maybe the little Fidel Castro hat, just being a little dickhead, just showing up on the beach with jeeps and assault weapons,
covered in medals that he gave himself.
Covered in medals. Thank you for finding the gold that belongs to my country. It was looted a long time ago. You're like, okay, Admiral Cavron. All right. Sure it was. You were all about to find it too, but I found it. So now let me take my honky ass back to the United States before you put me in jail, right? Is that how this works? Yes. Now you know how the politics works here. With a silver too there.
Yeah.
Now I'll change this one to gold. Thank you. Can I have one gold coin? No. Get out of here. I will now turn every bit of this over to my country to help the poor people of this country. Next day, he's got like 2 new villas. He's living in Spain, too. He's over there living La Vida. Look, like you lying ass fat sack of shit. That's a caricature of every single dictator in South America.
There's a game called Tropico where you could role play as that guy, basically.
That guy, the cigar smoking fat ass, and shows up and just, thank you for building this building for us. We were going to do it myself with me and my cousin Pepe, but now that you've done it, fuck off. You're like, I never should have came to this country. Take your tiny oxygen and go. We have what we want from you. Dogman. Anyways, as you can see, I have a disdain for Hispanic leadership. I'm kidding, folks. I don't have a problem with anybody. I have a problem with dickheads like that. So somebody comes up with the gold coin, they just pop out of nowhere. They come parachuting out of the sky. You're like, yes, thank you for solving the mystery, Scooby-Doos. Now you can go in your magic machine. Speaking of Magic Time Machine, I'm going to be at the Magic Time Machine in San Antonio on January 29th to do the Symposium of the Strange. We will have security there, armed security, armed to the teeth.
To the teeth.
Protect me from these evil inbreds that have come to fight me. I am very important man from South American Banana Republic. Yeah. And so we're going to have all kinds of security in plain clothes and regular clothes, the kind with all the medals on them with the sunglasses.
Yeah.
You get a pair of sunglasses so I can do more skits in here. But you know what I'm saying? You know, we're going to have some security there. I'm going to be walking around. I'm going to have one handcuffed to me at all times. But no, but we have to. I mean, you know, I told him, I said, that's a prerequisite. We have to have some security there because there's people saying they're going to assassinate me. They act like I'm the dictator from a South American country. Dude, I'm a YouTuber. Okay. Do you know what that is? You know what that entails? It entails doing this. Instead of just getting up there and bitching about poo caca head, this and that. You know, it's just. The first hit is as good as the last. You have it on good authority. That's good quality oxygen.
That's them high quality O2.
Quality O2. Quality. That's some high quality O2 right there. Mama said you're the devil. Hey, she was wrong. You're worse than the devil. You're the super devil. But you know, I'm going to tell you this: when you take these stories and you put them all together, and then you go to sleep, you know what you get? Nightmares. You're welcome. I'm just saying. I had somebody the other day, and this is weird. Okay, we were talking about the mummy thing. So this person, this is just real quick here, but I don't want, because I have a lot of, he's huffing. Look, yeah, exactly. There you go, Lawrence. He's huffing. Look at him. He's doing drugs right there on the camera. Yeah, see how animated his head is? Look at how this part moves when he talks. The devil. He's the devil. Mystical oxygen when you lived at 9,000. Yeah, because you kind of have to. It's like, let's go to Vail. It's like, let's get some oxygen. Because if without it, I'll die. Apparently, I'm an oddball because I
shouldn't even be using it.
I have oxygen and blood in my veins. He drinks blood on camera. I saw that. They were talking about the beet drink. Now that's blood now, and I'm using oxygen because I can't survive in this atmosphere because I'm a demon. Wow, it's crazy shit. So she said, Jesus, you were talking about the mummy on there. And this was the episode we did where it was a live stream where we did one about a mummy. And it was the guy from Egypt. His grandmother had given him this amulet or something. I don't remember the whole story. But anyway, he ended up like having encounters with weird stuff, you know. And so this woman says, she's like, I fell asleep listening to PRT. She goes, and I wake up. And she goes, I could have swore I saw this giant lizard-looking thing standing right there in between the bathroom. And she goes, and I fell asleep listening to the episode. And we were talking about Sobek. And she said, he looked like, and now this girl, she's about my age, and she was a tomboy when she was my age. And she says, you know about He-Man? She's like, I've seen you wear shirts and make references. And I said, yes. She's like, do you know the character Whiplash? Right off the cuff, it didn't register right away. And then I was like, wait a minute. I said, Whiplash. I was like, yes. Giant lizard looking dude. She said, not in the face, but his body, like on the cartoon, the body and the tail looked like Whiplash, you know, because he had that tail that he would whip around like this crocodilian tail. She's like, and you take the head, she said, and you make it more crocodilian, you know, and then with little horns on its head like Darth Maul. And she said, that's what I saw. Yeah. So then she finds out that her son and her brother, that's the kind of uncle, that's the fun uncle that'll get you in trouble though, right? Let's go get a Ouija board and let's play with it, you know? So she's like, my son and his friend and his little girlfriend, they're little teenagers, right? Young teenagers. And their irresponsible uncle, her brother that was living with them, were playing with a Ouija board. And so there you go. She's like, I didn't know this. She's like, I came home from work. She's like, and I see the Ouija board laying there on the glass coffee table. And I'm like, what the freaking heck? Or underneath the, you know, you could see through the glass coffee table. It was right there. And she's like, what in the hell? So she told her brother, she's like, why did you buy this Ouija board? And he was like, well, we were just having some fun, you know? And she's like, Yeah, well, you summoned Sobek, and he's like, who? Soda what? She's like, she's like, whatever. And he goes, oh, it's probably, he goes, it's probably that damn show you're always listening to. He goes, that guy's always scaring the hell out of people. Like, and she's like, no, he scares you. She's like, so he listened to my show a couple times, and then he got scared. But it didn't stop the guy from going and getting a Ouija board and saying, come on, kids, let's summon the devil. So yeah, whatever. I think that it's a little worse than you know, from just me telling these stories or whatever. So I have another story, but I'm going to tell you this one real quick here. This is not, I mean, this one, I don't, okay. And I want to save this one for a pre-record, you know, or maybe do it on Sunday's show. But I'm going to give you a little teaser on it. It involves someone seeing one of these dogmen completely controlled by these pale crawlers, or one of them anyway. And the things it was doing, and the person was watching it happen. He saw this happen. So that right there is another one that was given to me right around that same time. It was so weird, because I had 3 of them that were boom, boom, boom. Not all of them that I told tonight, but there were 3 of them that were right there together. And I thought it was odd. And then I told you, Anthony, that we had a bunch of pale crawler stories coming in. Mm-hmm. And then I go and I look, and I'm like, yeah, Sobek is the croc man. Yeah. And so it's then we get this story that was given to Nellie, right? And then I got another one here that I haven't even gotten out of my messenger yet. And I get this. This is I'm not going to give the whole thing, but I got to talk to this person about it. And Melvin, the Great House, got in touch with me. You probably don't know who that is unless you watch Abe's show, but he was on Abe's show. He's going to come on, and we're going to talk about his encounters with reptilians. He's an African-American guy who had some weird stuff happen to him in New Mexico. So I got to set up a time with him. Let me see if I can find this one. This one was crazy, man. Oh, and another announcement too. Angela Pelegi, however you want to say it. She's a toy sculptor. So we're going to use one of her
Sculpts,
but it's she actually has the
actual
mold.
It's a figure. Yeah, it's a mold for it. And it's going to become the mascot for Paranormal Roundtable. It's called Scarewolf. So that's interesting.
It's really cool.
It's really cool.
Angela did a good job with that.
Yeah, she really did. She sells it. And what's it called? The toy Soapy?
No,
Soapy?
I thought that's what she was collecting.
No, she sells those for Sobe. The Sobai or Sobai, I don't know.
I'm gonna ask her.
Somebody just gave me one. This one's a little off topic, but this one's cool too. Okay, and I'll just call him T, because I don't unless he wants his name out there, I'm not going to say his name. But he gave me he first got in touch with me. Here it is, in May of 2024, which is another weird coincidence, because it was in May of 2020. Yes, it was May 2024, which is another coincidence because it was May when these other stories were given to me. So this one was given to me in May, and he says, I've heard about Dogman, and he says, he found me on the confessionals, and it motivated me to share some of what I've heard about Dogman. And he goes, in my encounter with Lechusa. Then on Sunday evening, he says, hey, Josh, just saw the episode about Lechusa, and it reminded me of the time me and my friend hit what we believe to be one while riding around on a ranch road in South Texas. So I have not gotten the story from him yet, but that is freaking creepy. But it was weird because he messaged me at 10 o'clock on Sunday night to tell me about that. So he listens to the podcast, not the show. So that right there, because you're not going to message me at 10 o'clock while I'm on the air, if you know I'm on the air. So this guy doesn't do the live streams. So I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Our audience is huge compared to the live stream. the people that watch the show from the YouTube version or whatever, you don't realize that we're on 15 other platforms, and that if you take our audience from here and our audience together from all of the different platforms, it's a gigantic audience. It's not 39,000 people, folks. It's way bigger than that. So we have a ton of listeners from different platforms that listen to us. And so, yeah. And a large portion of our audience that gets in touch with us and talks to us about things, they're not even from YouTube. They don't even watch YouTube. They don't look at the YouTube shows at all. They don't do the live streams.
They're from the land of the other. I was kidding.
From the before time.
The before time.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what's going on with that. So, but to close this out, though, I got a ghost story if you want to hear this one. And this one's creepy. It's not a huge, big ordeal, but somebody had sent me this one. And her name is Monica. And not Monica Rollins, one of our associates, but another Monica. And she sent us this. Her name is Monica. I'll say Monica V. She said to say her name if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. She was an apartment complex manager. And right here in Austin, this happened here in Austin. Now, there was an account we used to have, and it didn't end so well because the owner of the complex, I'm not going to say what it was, but they were committing insurance fraud. And I was like, I'm not working for you. So we parted ways. Eventually he sold though. And so the managers, they finally, we were there a few months until I figured out what the heck these people were like. You know, started out like, oh, you're supposed to do a fire watch. Oh, you need to go walk around and do all this other stuff. Well, here's how it works by the law. If you're doing a fire watch, you can only do a fire watch. You can't do security in a fire watch. You can't. That's just so you know, that's the rules. That's the law. So if you catch somebody doing that, they're doing something that's incorrect. And if the fire department finds that's your ass. Okay. So that's what these people were trying to get us to do. And I told them no, and they kept trying to make us do it. And finally we just quit. So one of the managers there, though, she was really cool. And I felt really bad for her. Her name was Scarlett. And she was like, look, I'm sorry that the owner's this way or whatever. And she resigned. But then she got hired back by the new management. So that was cool. So, you know, but she got me in touch with this other girl named Monica, who was an apartment manager for another complex that used to work under her. And she contacted me through Messenger. She says, hey, or texting me. And she says, hey, you know, you guys used to work for me. And I remember you had a show. She's like, can you give me the name of your show? That was about 6 months ago, back in like July or something. So August. And I said, okay. I said, and it was right at the time when we were quitting. And so I told her, I said, yeah, here's the show, but we quit. We're not doing it anymore. About 2 weeks later, she messages me. She's like, holy crap. She goes, I've been binge listening to your show. She's like, it's unreal, like how good it is. And so thank you for the compliment. She's like, I really feel like I should have been listening way sooner. She's like, I can relate to a lot of things you talked about, blah, blah, blah. And she says, I had an encounter with something when I was doing managing an apartment complex down off of Lamar. And I know where it's at. I'm not going to say the name of it because who knows? It might get weird and be like, hey, you're scaring people. They don't want to rent our bullshit place. And it's a dumpy place. Like they put a coat of paint on it and called it like, you know, some amazing LaCroix. So that's not what they call it. Not, but you know, some kind of the fern between two rivers. No, it's not. It's between two crackheads and some disease. But you know, whatever. You can make it sound good if you want. I mean, but it's not. And so she said that there was a guy that used to live there, and when they had new ownership, they kicked everybody out, you know, once the leases were ending. And then some of the people, they bought their leases out and the new management came in and they said, get out of here, crackheads. We're going to gentrify this crap. But we're too cheap to actually do it. We're just going to paint it and hope for the best. And if you get mold, well, that's what happens. So this guy refused to leave. Like he absolutely refused to move out. And she was just like, he was very adamant. Like, I'm not moving. He's like, I'm going to die here. And unfortunately, that's what he did. The 2 days before,
man of his word.
Yeah, the maintenance guy was going in there to check because he had barricaded it and stuff, and they could see it in the windows. He had put stuff, and so the maintenance guy went over there, and they were knocking on the door, and he wouldn't leave. And so because he had been living there for like 17 years or something, and he was determined to not leave there, and it was a Section 8 at that time, but they were turning it into not a Section 8.
Yeah.
That always works out real good. So what happened? So I'm just reading the comments here. So what ended up happening with this guy? They couldn't get into the apartment, so they figured something was going on because he would yell back at them through the door as they were knocking on the door, and they couldn't. And then they called, and they couldn't get a hold of him. So the daughter had called because every day he would talk to his daughter. So his daughter called. She lived down in South Austin, and she says, "I haven't talked to my dad in a couple of days. I think something's wrong." So she showed up there that afternoon. They got through the table and chairs and stuff that he had piled in front of the door, and they found him deceased. What he had done was taken all of his medication.
Mm-hmm.
So he had unalived himself. So it was a sad thing, tragic, whatever. But she was very upset. Monica, she's like, I was very upset. She goes, he seemed like a nice little dude. I didn't want to be mean. She's like, but we had to, we told him that he could leave. And then, about a month later, because the plan was he was going to go live with his daughter, but he was determined to live on his own. He was one of those people. It was 64 years old, going on 65. And he was just like, I'm not leaving. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to die here, blah, blah, blah. So the daughter was completely heartbroken, whatever. And this is not just a stereotypical, oh, I saw the guy ghost story, right? So she goes, but it was horrible. She's like, we were going to tell him, hey, you could come back in a month or two once we're done with all the remodeling and stuff, and you could apply. And then we could, but he's like, I'm not going to reapply. I had a deal. I was grandfathered in. Of course, he's going to lose his status or whatever. And so he was upset. He was very, very upset. And so she said, like, a couple days after the funeral, she's like, the daughter had come to get the stuff, and she was there. She was very sad, and she was picking up his stuff, and she was talking to the daughter, and there was a son there, and then she had a little grandchild too. And she said that they were talking, and she was like, she was tempted to tell them that she had dreamed about him. She goes, and I didn't know the guy that well. She's like, I had just been taken over. People were having to move out, And she's like, and I met him a couple times. She goes, but I dreamed that this guy had come to me in a dream, and he told her, hey, I'm sorry for cussing at you. And she's like, I don't even remember it happening. But then she's like, oh, that's right. He was on the phone with me, and he cussed me out. And so she woke up, and she thought it was so vivid and so, weird. She's like, she's talking to one of her coworkers, and the coworker said that when she was walking by the apartment, this was a couple weeks later, right? She said, I saw this guy sitting inside. And so I was like, well, was nobody supposed to be in there? She thought it was a homeless guy. Mm-hmm. So they had security there. She said they were useless, but she said, we called the security and told him to go in there, do his job. And he went in there, and lo and behold, he goes in there, and he sees for a split second somebody go into the back bedroom and close the door. So he's like, oh, there's somebody in here. So he runs over there, and he starts messing with the door. The door is locked. He thinks better of kicking the door in. The maintenance guy walks in behind him, and he says, just watch the front, watch the door in case the guy comes out. I'll go around the back. He goes around the back. There's nobody back there. And eventually the maintenance guy got the doorknob off. They went in there, and there was nobody in there. When they go back out and they talk to the head maintenance guy, they gave a description of this dude. It was the guy that had passed away. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was a dead-on description. She goes, Monica was like, it sent chills down my spine. She goes, holy crap, that's the guy that used to live here. Then as she took over as manager, and they started to bring people in, they just kind of forgot about it, whatever. A couple months go by, and the guy lived right there. The pool was right behind him, right where he lived. And she said there were people back there in the pool, and this guy raised up a window, and they couldn't, when they first got people to move into that place, they couldn't get the people to stay. They kept saying that they were being harassed at night by something tapping on the glass. Their bed was being pushed, and they were convinced that it was haunted. So they broke their lease and left. The people that moved in right after that, she goes, I don't know what happened. They were there for about 2 or 3 weeks, and she goes, this was in a matter of 2.5 months, right? She said they were there for 2 or 3 weeks, and then they just left. She's like, they just didn't pay the rent. We were like, what's going on? They had some of their stuff in there still, and they had just bounced. She's like, so then it was unoccupied for a little while. And so we decided to, clean it up, whatever, and get some people to go rent it. She's like, the first time on the third set of people, we tried to go in there to rent it. The lady walks in and she goes, oh, no, I can't live here. She's like, somebody died in this room, and it was in the back bedroom. And she was like, what do you mean? She's like, somebody died here and they're still here. And they don't want us here. And he's very angry. And so she walked out. So she was like, this woman must have been a psychic. She knew that there was a spirit there. So then she said that there was these teenagers or these college kids or whatever that were in the back jumping around. They had a volleyball net, whatever, and they were playing in the pool and all that. And if you're going to get an apartment, let me tell you something. People come noise complaints all the time. They're like, I'm hearing all this noise behind me. Where do you live? By the pool.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Don't get an apartment by the pool if you have a problem with noise. Or they'll be like, the people around me are making noise. I'm like, yes, they're called neighbors. They do that. That's what they do. They're called neighbors, and it happens. What do you want me to do about it? Take your gun and unalive them. And you're like, I am not going to do that for you. You don't pay me enough. How much are we talking? I'm joking. I'm kidding. I don't do that. No, seriously. But this guy was, he was complaining or whatever about the noise. And these people said that this guy was like just screaming at them. So one of them went into the office and said, hey, man, this little dude over here in the apartment, he's talking crap. He's threatening us and saying all this crap. And they're like, that apartment's unoccupied. So the security wasn't on duty at that time. They had just a patrol service, which, whatever. And so the maintenance guy goes in there and knocks on the door, and there's, then he unlocks it, walks in, whatever. Nobody's in there. Nobody's in there. Well, I guess he didn't knock on the door. He just went in, right? Mm-hmm. And because they had knocked on the door because one of them was a little inebriated and was like telling the guy, oh, you want to come outside, whatever. And so he's standing there, and the other maintenance guy's like, you need to go. You need to, you're acting like you're going to fight. If somebody's in there, it's a homeless person, and you're a resident, we'll deal with it. So there was nobody in there. Nobody in there at all. So they hired a new security company, and they said that the guy that they got was a off-duty cop, and he did a really good job. And so they had him, which I can tell you a lot of times off-duty cops, they're lazy. Yeah. Not even a joke, man. So, but this guy, though, he was sort of semi-retired, and he worked for another county before. I want to say Bastrop, but I don't know if that's correct. But anyway, he was sitting there, parked right in front of that house, like or across the parking lot from that apartment. And he knows that apartment is vacant because he had a list of the rent roll. How we have that. Mm-hmm. And the guy, he sees a guy walk up, little toboggan, little beanie, walking in and going to the apartment. And he's like, that guy just had a key. He walked in there. Door opened and closed. So he walks over there and knocks on the door, and he's like, hello, security. He's like, if you need to open the door. He's looking inside. He doesn't see any lights or anything come on. He goes, and he's like, well, that was weird. So then, he knew that there was somebody there. So he called the overnight maintenance guy, the emergency guy. The guy gets on the phone and tells him, hey, man, people see weird stuff there all the time. If you feel like there's a homeless person in there and you really need to, then, you can kick it and we'll just deal with it tomorrow. And he said, well, he goes, I'm looking in there. I don't see anybody. So he goes through all the windows. He doesn't see anybody. The next morning, the guy comes in early. There's the maintenance guy, and he lets him in. So him and the maintenance guy go in there, and they check the place, whatever. But he sees a bag there, right? Get this is weird. The bag had some stuff from Walmart, mm-hmm. right? And he's like, there's a bag here. So somebody was in here. So there was somebody here, And he's like, he looks at the receipt, and then on the receipt, it tells you the date and all that stuff, right? The date corresponded with a week before that guy took his life. Oh. So the bag also had some stuff in the, toward the bottom or whatever. And it had a little like a notepad or whatever, like it had writing on it, like it was a grocery list or something. Not a notepad, a piece of notebook, paper from a notepad. Let's put it that way. It was in the bag. And he was like, what in the hell is this? And so he's reading it, whatever, and it says medication, right? And so it had the handwriting. So Monica kept it in the drawer for like a week, and then she says, you know what, I'm going to call his daughter. And she says, this is going to be really weird. Can you come down here and talk to me? And she's like, this is very unorthodox. I'm not supposed to really do this, but I would like to, talk to you. And she comes down and starts talking to her, and she shows her the she's like, is this your dad's handwriting? Because I think something weird's going on here. And so she looks at it and she says, yes, it is. And one of the things on the list of the paper was medication, right? So one of the maintenance guys was in there in the whatever, cleaning it up, because they had another resident that had come and couldn't stay there. And that resident lasted like 2 weeks. And they said they kept seeing somebody walking around the apartment. So she's like, we've had 3 residents now just bounce. One of them, the second one, they just left without even saying anything. She's like, and I want to say something weird, and I don't want you to be offended. And she's like, but I'm at my wit's end now. She's like, I've seen your dad since he passed away. And so have a lot of other people. And she said, yeah, me too. She's like, I've been dreaming about him. And she's like, I think that he needs to cross over. This is what she said, right? And so she said they went into the apartment, and in one of the drawers, she goes in there, and there was a bottle of medication, and there were 3 bottles of medication that were empty in one of the drawers right there in like the little island or whatever. Mm-hmm. The question is, this guy had passed away prior to 3 different sets of tenants living in that place, and not one of them noticed those bottles of medication empty in that drawer. Mm-hmm. The list was in the bag from Walmart, right, of what he needed, and it was like thrown into the bag, and then the stuff was in there that had obviously been purchased a week before, and he had taken all of his medication to unalive himself. So what in the hell was going on? So anyways, about another month goes by, and they had just decided that they were going to use that as the maintenance people put their stuff in there.
Mm-hmm, like storage.
They used it as storage, yeah. We had the same situation in Palo Santo.
Yeah.
Somebody died in that apartment. That's what they did. And remember, we kept seeing and hearing weird stuff in there. Mm-hmm. Very similar situation. That's why some of these maintenance guys can tell you some scary ass stuff. I mean, they see it because they're there in those apartments. But yeah, that was weird. I thought that was really weird. So she said that a couple months later, she got transferred to another complex. And so that's that story. So anybody want to comment on that and tell me what the hell you think was going on? She doesn't know. She hasn't any update or anything for me to tell me, what happened with this, because she hasn't gone back to check on it or whatever.
Yeah.
So she asked me if I thought she should, and I'm like, hell yeah, go in there and stay the night, see what happens. Go to sleep. And then tell me how it goes the next day. I want to know. And she's like, well, why don't you do it? I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm not the one that wants the story told. You do, right? You just face the monster.
He kept his word even beyond the grave.
Yeah.
Not leaving.
Yeah. She was like, I'm not leaving. Like David Koresh on steroids. I'm not coming out. I still believe, in ghosts. So that's a creepy ghost story, I mean, I don't know. Whatever you guys think, man. It's your world. I'm just living in it or unaliving in it. I don't know. But okay, so I'll start with this. Do you think that these beings, these spirits, can be so powerful that that with so much emotion invested in something, like that they survive beyond the grave? Can that happen? I mean, is this because that story freaked me out? There's a lot of stories that freaked me out, but that one was one that really kind of stuck with me. And you could hear the frustration in her voice when she talked about, like, she's like, okay, so I saw him again, blah 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 blah. And she asked me if I was writing all this down, and I'm like, nope. I was eating a sandwich. Where were you at? I'm joking. No, I totally like, I told her, I said, there's some stories where I need notes. I mean, just at least the notes I can look and, but this one, it stuck with me. And I read it and then I heard her say it. So, I went over it a couple times and I was like, this is weird as hell.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was a weird story that needed to be told.
Yeah. I mean, I think that you can put enough energy into something to kind of to kind of be tethered to it, like after death or beyond the grave. It's kind of like okay, we were talking about this the other day, like how people turn things into idols, and like I was talking about how like if you watch videos of like people taking their kids to like Taylor Swift concerts, they're like 10-year-old daughters. They flip out whenever she comes on stage, and it's weird. It's like it's almost like a psychosis, or it's the most bizarre thing, because this is their reaction to a person just walking on stage, and Taylor Swift is just a person, right? But
is she or is she a
well?
lizard?
I mean, yeah, but still, like it's almost like a form of worship. There's an inordinate amount of energy that's being put into turning this person into an idol. But you can do that not just with people, but with objects and with places. And I think it takes like a lot of emotional energy and a lot of energy putting into a certain object, or like or a certain place that you're like fascinated with, or that you're, what's the word, not obsessed, not fascinated, I don't know, fixated on, that
Obsessed.
there's another word, and I'm not going to think of it until anyway. But after you die, you can be I think that you can be kind of tethered to like that object or that place that you've put so much energy into that it's almost a form of like worship. It's like you turn this thing into an idol and now you're tethered to it.
A mental tulpa or something, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
that's it.
Whoa!
Oh, sorry.
I startled me too. I was like this. I was like, what are we doing here?
No. Somebody in the chat just said the word enamored.
I was
That's
like,
what it is.
What you got? What you got for me, bro? Come at me. Come at me, bro. Let me put my weapons away. Put your weapons. I'm like, okay, all right, so cool. All right, yeah. Only because you asked nicely, Yoda. Let me put all my weapons away. I was like, we're being attacked. What's going on here?
I jumped.
Fortunately, I keep my firearm over here.
Well, I was thinking maybe there was a spider or something over there. I'm like, whoa.
He's like, that's it. I'm tired of these spiders. Well, these damn planes just coming out the plane into the plane. Can't take these damn spiders on this damn plane.
This poor guy's wearing headphones. Sorry about that.
My gosh, dude. I'm wearing headphones. Dang it. That was so loud. Oh, shit. But, I've had a lot of ghost stuff happen, and I still to this day am just as baffled as anybody. And I have my own theories, and I have my own like ideas and stuff, and I've researched a lot of stuff, to kind of get to where I think that this is what this is.
Can you give us one idea that you think it could be?
Well, I mean, of which one?
Of what you think ghosts are, or whatever.
Well, I mean, I think there's a whole lot of.
Valerie, I even looked behind me. Like, what do you mean?
I don't know. Well, I mean, there's a lot of different things that they could be, like alternate realities. Somebody said he was in the multiverse. What if he's still living in the multiverse and he's still dedicated to living there?
Yeah.
But how is it intermingling? Like, there's so many things like, okay, for example, I have friends who've passed on, and I have talked to them and conversed with them when I've been asleep. And it's like you have these absolute, full on conversations, dude. I mean, I don't know. It's just,
who knows at this point?
I don't know. But I'll say this. Look, folks. If you look down right here, let me put my finger right over there. You go. Ooh.
Oh, Michael has a question.
4:15. If you have,
Michael has a question. Oh, you did it. He said, "Are past family members in dreams ghosts?
That's a good one.
Test
Okay.
the spirits."
So, yeah, I think sometimes they are. They're spirits. They've passed over. They no longer have an earthly body, because when we're in our body, we don't really. And if I start talking about all this stuff, we're writing a book about it, me and Nelly, actually, but we don't know exactly what way we're gonna.
It's a picture book.
Yeah, we're trying to pile as much evil into it as possible, and because we want to hurt people and do dastardly things, whatever
Dastardly.
whatever these shitbags say. Whatever. But no, there's all kinds of stuff that you could put in there, in these books, that we're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking pretty interesting stuff.
But we can't. There's so much that just keeps coming,
I know.
and it's hard because you're like, okay, and it's not
Both
necessarily
of
a
them could be
ghost book.
two-parters,
Yeah, because we have a book though that's about ghosts, but then it got too far long, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to break this up into a couple of books. Our friend Chad Lewis, like he said though, the ghost books do way better than cryptid or whatever UFO books. And I'm not trying to write them to make money. I'm just trying to write them because I want people to learn about it, to know what I know. I want you to know what I know. But if you look at the number here, we're at 4:15, and interesting, like it's 2 a.m. on a school night, right? On a weeknight, on a work night, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, thank you guys for being here.
So we appreciate that. Having 414
amazing.
people in here. We just had
We had
440 something, a few minutes ago.
Yeah, something. So that's cool. You guys spend the night into the early morning with us.
Yeah, there were people that when I started doing this, they were just like, well, there are certain peak times you have to, and this is quote unquote the way to do it, and I was just like, oh, really? And so some of those people, told me that, and I was like, and I was influenced by that, at first, and then I was like, this isn't the way to do it. The way to do it is just be good at what you do. I have an ability, I have a strong memory, and people that have worked with me, they've seen it. It's no BS. Like they've seen my ability and my memory. And, like if you recall the other night, like I, immediately knew like what year, the last year that the Detroit Lions had been won the NFL championship, and it was 1957. Now, I wasn't 100% sure on that, but I was pretty damn sure. But, there's not a lot of people that can do this, right? And so when you have a gift, you have to use it. And so that's what I do. I'm using my gifts, and so I'm not going to throw my gifts away, and just walk away from something I love, because I think that would be not good for anybody, not good for us, not good for the community. And so I did step away at one point. I just got so sick and tired of the crap of these, and so I was just like, you know what? I walked away. But when I came back, Nellie basically told me, she's like, if you're going to, this is what you said. And I quote you. You said, you're a loser. You made me sick. Why did I marry you? But you're also irresistible, and I just can't keep my hands off. I was like, I
know you're lying.
I know. You just can't. Okay. No, she said what you said. You said, if you're gonna do it, do it. If you're gonna quit. Let's not keep. You were
yo-yo.
Worried about the listeners. She really was. She was like, we're gonna come back. We're gonna stay, or we're gonna stay the course, no matter how hard it gets. You remember that? Mm-hmm. And we grabbed each other's hands, and you said, we're gonna stay the course. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do it, and we're not going anywhere.
That's not how it went.
How did it
I
go?
slapped you back and forth, and that's when I said that. No, just kidding.
You bounced me all over the place like Caller did the Dogman. Yeah, and stop it! You're acting like a fool. Back and forth. My head's like a cartoon, No, she was very adamant that I don't, hurt people by saying, "Hey, we're going to stay gone. We're going to be." And I also didn't realize until we really we were gone for 5-6 weeks, whatever it was. It was like 5 weeks. She said, that people missed me, and I said, you know what? I don't care. I was actually at peace, even though the attacks kept happening. Like I said, if they would have just stopped, it would have been fine. I don't care how many profiles you make and how many attacks you, just leave us alone. But it didn't stop. It didn't change anything. So it just kept going. So you might as well just keep doing the show. What's the difference? You're going to get attacked either way. It's like these people are going to hound you until you die.
Honestly, so it wasn't. The only thing I missed was you guys, hanging out with you guys in the chat.
Yeah.
That's what I missed. Thank you, Deadpool. Read what he said, honey.
Let me read it out loud.
Yeah.
Deadpool Kid, thank you for that donation. It says, there's a book I'm reading called Rose of the World by a Russian mystic. He believes that our world is layered like rose petals, different realities and different civilizations.
That's what we're touching
so
on.
I'm going to tell you something. And this is no
Is this a
long
secret?
story. No, it's from 2 nights ago.
Okay.
Remember when we were doing the patrol and I looked up and I saw that in the sky?
Oh.
Okay. The highway on 183, we're doing our patrol and it's like, there's like a highway, right? But I was sitting there and I was looking at it and I was like, what is it? And we had just pulled into one of these complexes. We had to check the mail, we had to check the pool, basic stuff. And I'm like, what is that? And Nellie's like looking at her phone and she's like, what are you talking about? And I said, holy crap. And then it hit me like the road is like right here. And then there's like this.
Looks like it has an overpass built over
Yeah, it looks like an overpass built over it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But there is none.
And there isn't one. And it looked like a elongated vehicle driving on it. And I was like, what the heck did I? And then it was gone. And I was like, what did I just see? And then Nellie was like, you saw it, didn't you? You saw it. And I'm like, so what? And then she was like, you saw it. It's like
the city in the
sky. So, okay, now I'm wondering, because that's the first time I've seen that, but there are a lot of people who've claimed to have seen something very similar to that. So much so that I do have a folder with people who claim to see sky, city, people, vehicles and things up in the sky. So it could speak to like an alternate reality taking place right there.
Sometimes it becomes visible and sometimes not. But I will tell you, their technology is way advanced compared to ours.
How do you know that?
I'm just thinking out loud. I'm not telling you. That's a secret.
Okay. Yeah, it was weird, man. And so anyway, another weird coincidence, like right after that morning we go home and somebody had given me a story, and it was, now you're going to say, oh, that's too incredible. No, it wasn't. They didn't call it the city in the sky, but they saw what looked like 2 horses riding in the sky. And they said, have you ever heard of anything like that? And I'm looking at that going like, are you joking? Like, I just saw something. I don't know what it was. It was brief, but I know what I saw. It looked like another road above the main road. And I was like, at first it didn't hit me. It dawned on me. I'm like, that's not the highway. What the hell is that? And it was like, you could see kind of like a fog up there. You could see like a light going through the fog. It wasn't a plane. It was like right there. I could see it.
Tara Baby, seen it?
Who?
Tara Baby. She said she's seen the city in the sky when she I saw bridges.
Tara, I don't doubt it. I mean, there's like a bazillion people. When I went back and I looked in the files, there was like a bunch of people who've seen this stuff, man. And I'm like, holy crap, dude. I mean, I don't know. Anyways, folks, that's all the time we have. But hey, if you sit, there's foreign people in here. Who wants to win something? Do you want to win a shirt? Like a. We have, a bunch of shirts. And so if your name is in green, just tell me right now you haven't won and you'll win tonight's giveaway. And if your name isn't in green, then make your name in green by buying a membership. It's $5. And I think it only goes for 1 month, right? It doesn't continue to.
Yeah. It's $5 a month, but you can choose how long.
So you can choose how long. Okay. So SC007 says, I haven't won. Well, you won tonight. All right. We need somebody else. Who hasn't? Joe, stop being lazy and get your ass over here to the studio and go in there and grab you something, dude. All right. You live like right there. Like, come on. Joe, just come get you some stuff, bro. Dorothy did. Dorothy Metcalf just came over with her daughter and said, I'm taking this. And I said, okay.
Thank you, Mighty Batman.
Make me give you one of these.
That's cool. So, and Mighty Batman hasn't won either. He just bought a.
Might be Batman. But the way he's got it in one word, might be.
Mm-hmm.
I might be Batman. Or I might be.
And Hard Luck Ace.
Might be not man.
I've never seen him and Batman in the same room together.
I'm just saying. You've never seen. Yeah, you've
He
never
maybe
seen
could
them
have.
together. Okay, so Hard Luck Ace, you just won, and so did Might Be Batman. All right, great.
And
Now,
what about
guys, we're in the middle of moving stuff from one place to another, and we have all these storage units, all this crap going on. Bear with us, because once we get that done, I will have a new study, and I will have a whole new, groove going on. And so what we're going to do, we're going to be doing a lot more stuff with the Patreon, and I'm going to be doing a Patreon show, which will go probably like once a week. And it's not going to be like we're not going to hide stories from anybody. If we tell a story on the Patreon, we'll tell it on the show, but you'll get it first. Now, I got that idea from Elastic Machinery. He messaged me. He says, these piss ants that aren't Patreon members, he says you should throw them crumbs. If they get too close to the castle, hot oil tends to work. It'll drive them back. I said, "This Machinery, what are you talking about?" He goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. I mean the lesser people." And I said, yeah, you're right. We should do something for them. And so I'm kidding. That's not how it went at all. He just said that maybe his suggestion was maybe one of the stories that we're going to tell, we can tell it before they can get it before, whatever. And I said, maybe, because I don't put anything behind the paywalls. Anything we do, you're going to find out. So I've made that commitment a long time ago. There are people who can't afford things. Okay. Like, have you seen how damn expensive it is to go to the grocery store? Like, I thought I was being punked a few months ago when the inflation was getting really bad. I went in there and I got my wife was like, hey, I need this, and that. And she was busy at the house. And so I had to go run to the grocery store. I got robbed. And see, I don't usually do the shopping like Anthony, Nelly, and Tony do. And anybody but me. So,
Your oxygen cans are proof of that.
So I go in. Thank you, Sailor Nemesis, for that donation. So I
Thank
go
you,
in there
Sailor.
and I'm like $220. I was like, whoa, what are you talking about? I was like, I got like 5 things. Like, and that girl was just like, yeah, a lot of people are complaining about how expensive things are. She's just sitting there looking down like
Because she hears it 1,000 times a day,
just
probably.
put your card in or F off. That's what's the look she gave me was just like, are you going to buy this shit or what? Like, she was not interested in me complaining. I'm like, I want to protest. And she's like, yeah, me too. But I'm working at HEB. So pay, dickhead, or get out. And I'm like, you don't care about me, do you? And she's like, no, you could be a robot on Ambien if I give a shit. Just get out of the way. And I was like, okay. But I couldn't believe it. I was like, I sat and I had my phone, because my phone sucks. It's not a good phone, but it doesn't take good video. But I was about to make a video and just kind of bitch and complain about the state of affairs and be like, look at what I got for $222. It was $222. And I was like, maybe that means something. I don't know. But I said, for $222 and some change, this is what I got? I mean, I couldn't believe it. Now I had some laundry detergent or something. Something was in there. This bullshit. I'm sitting there going like, man, what is this crap? I was mad as hell.
Bovine excrement. Read Sailor Nemesis. It's very nice.
So Sailor Nemesis says, I love hearing the story, but you need to vent, then do it. I see you all as my friends. You guys doing these streams got me through lonely and dark times. I appreciate all the knowledge. You have taught me a lot. But if you need to vent, then do it. Okay. Yeah,
That's
sometimes
nice.
we do need to vent, but I don't want to sit there and just,
Vent ourselves into oblivion.
Yeah, the stories and and the different encounters that people tell. Oh, my back just popped. You heard it?
Yeah. You okay? Feels good?
Yeah. Like James Brown. Feel good. Ugh. Get in the hot tub. Ooh, it's hot. Put my toe in. Oh, my toe is hot. I always wanted to be James Brown. He seemed like such a cool cat. And what I mean by that is my neighbors had a cat named James Brown, and he was really cool. I loved him. He was awesome. He
That's
got
actually
lots of
a
snuggles
cool
and
name.
hugs. I wanted to be him. No, I just, I just couldn't believe it. Like, I was blown away. I was like, this is crazy. This is what we're living. Like $222 gets you this shit. That's it. I mean, So I understand people are broke. I'm not over here trying to, I'm not, I saw on a full display earlier tonight, a couple different things that were just people grifting, getting money for things. And you're like, really? Total bull crap. I mean, you're just sitting there taking people's money, and so that you can continue to grift and fraud or whatever. And it was sickening and disgusting and repulsive. People do it constantly, man.
Especially since I'm just sitting over here with no cranberries.
Well, they're everywhere. Go outside and they'll probably fall on. Take your hat and go like this. It's like, oh, cool. I got some cranberries from my salad. Got a pound of them.
The cranberry craze isn't as good as it used to be.
2 hats.
Huh? Oh, I said the cranberry
Take
craze.
your hat off and put it in your hand. You'll have a pound of them in your hat.
That would be nice. I love cranberries, actually.
I just one of the grifts I saw today. I was looking at, and a friend of mine sent me this, and it's martial arts, and there was this guy. I just wanted to beat him up so bad. I mean, he was so sick. It was like people were coming at him, and he was like, and they were falling down.
Oh, yeah.
You know how they grab their arm and they flip themselves to the side? It's
yeah, those like keto demonstrations.
You know damn well, 100% damn well that dude is not flipping you, but you're doing it. Why would you go along with that shit? Why do they go along with this crap? They absolutely know that these people are faking it, or they know that people are lying. And they're sitting there and they're just eating it up, going along with the bullshit. And you're just sitting there going like, okay, I know there's alternate realities and there's paranormal and all this weird stuff, but then there's also just living in the reality we're living in. This is where you're at. So stop the bullshit, man. Like, seriously, stop grifting, get a real job, and stop pretending that you're something you're not. Like somebody that pretends like they're good at YouTube. You're not. Your whole stick is just talking shit about people. And this guy was grabbing people and they were flipping themselves around. And I'm like, and then they're acting, they're like they're hurt, and I'm like, probably because you just you did a pirouette when this guy touched you. Like,
hurt
It's
yourself.
like professional wrestling.
oh God. Well, anyway, my friend, he made my day because he said, hey, there's another video of him getting his ass beat
Yeah.
doing that. He tried it with somebody who was like, man, and they just came out and like, bam, and just beat the crap out of him. Have you ever seen Foot Fist Way?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude. And he's like, it's what's his name? Danny McBride from Eastbound and Down.
Mhm.
He's like, I don't know. He goes, you can try that move and we'll see what happens. He had this little old lady against this big, angry looking guy. He had his mouthpiece and he's like, you're going to find that it won't be as easy as you think it is. And as soon as he says fight, the guy just grabs the old lady and he's like, bam, bam. And then she falls to the ground and he just kicks her in the stomach. And he's all like, okay, like I don't think it's going to play out the way you think it did. Yeah, it did, because this dude's a big ass young guy and this is a little old lady, right? But this guy that was doing this demonstration, it was just sickening, dude, because people were walking up to him and he was just slapping them around or whatever. And so it got worse.
Slow, almost.
Oh, it was horrible. It got worse because there was another video of a different guy. Because he goes, oh, you think that's bad? Check out this one. And it was a guy who was sitting in a chair doing it. People were coming at him. He's this big, fat-bellied old guy, looked like from Hillbilly. And he was over there, like, slapping people, and they were throwing themselves against the wall. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? It's like the guy with the jacket running along and touching people with the jacket, and they're all falling back because they feel the spirit or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. I would
Benny
be
Hinn,
so
yeah.
afraid.
If you touch me with that jacket, I'm just going to stand there like this and be like, all I got from it was your musty underarm odor from the jacket. What are you doing? Okay.
It's not just that. I mean, these people are are tricking people through religion and stuff. I mean, that's dangerous.
It's
I'm
sickening,
so
dude.
scared. I would
One-way
be so
ticket to
scared.
hell. That's where you belong.
Yeah, I would like, mm-mm.
And they do it, and these people, and they get up there and they're like, oh, well, give me money because this and that happened. And no, it didn't. That's not what happened. It did not happen. That's a lie. And you're lying and you're getting people's money for it. And you're grifting. There's no other way to put it. I mean, that is freaking it. Cut the bullshit, man. Go get a job and do what I do. The thing is, there is a lot of people that mistake, being, like poor, and you're not poor. You're lazy. You're not. You're broke because you're lazy as shit, because you don't want to work. How can you justify to your audience that you just don't work? Now, I'm not talking about the guys and gals out there that do this and this is their gig. They make money from this. Like that is, that's their
That is work.
yeah, that's their work. That's
work.
what they do. And they do a good job. I've
Mhm.
seen it. There's people that do that. But for the most of us who don't have that luxury, you have to work. Like, what in the hell is going on here? And you're just going to give these people, or sit up in there and listen to them bitch and moan about whatever shit falls out of their mouth. Like, dude, give me a break, man. And there was another guy on there. I'm not even going to give him the name or give him, because he was reading one of my friend's books. That was several months ago, and I got really aggravated. I'm like, dude, people are listening to this guy read the other person's book, and I'm like, Dillhead. Okay, look, dude. I mean, I don't want to start anything with this guy, but he does that, and I'm like, dude, if you do that with my book, I'm going to show up over there, and I'm going to make you eat that book. I'm just going to tell you right now, you're not going to do that with my book. Sorry, it's not going to happen. Bullcrap. That is not correct. All right. I don't know where he lives, but anyway, I'll have to Google it. I don't know how to do that, but I don't know how to find out where he lives. But seriously, though, it's annoying as hell, because you're getting views and stuff from other people's work, and you're not even giving them credit for it. You're reading stories literally out of, I know who that was and whose book it was, and I'm sitting there going like, this guy is totally he's conning people. Another guy wrote a book and he put a bunch of my work in there. Didn't ask, totally referenced me and didn't. And I'm not even going to say his name, turd, because people will go get his book. He totally misquoted me. And then he put he got the numbers of the show wrong and stuff. And I'm like, you jackhole, dude, this is not cool. Now people are going to read that. Hopefully not, but they may read that and it's got a catchy title. And then they'll be like, wow, George Turner's, that's not what happened. I did not say that. I never gave this guy permission to do that. But that's all it is just parasitic people who are too lazy to do anything. This is what they do. I just can't, it makes me sick. And we're over here busting our ass and working. But you got to realize too, there are a lot of people who, there's two people in this world. There's those that work and make money and those that don't and make money, really. Because if you're a person that works and you're making money, that's a type of income that there's passive income and then there's work income, and working, you're just going to have to pay a bunch of money. And then the people that have figured out how to make money from all these different ventures, they don't pay the taxes we do. We'll talk about that on another night. We'll actually get into an economic episode on Rumble. Okay, and I can tell you a lot of stuff. But anyways, thank you for that showing up, guys. Thank you for the people who bought memberships. Thank you for the donations. We appreciate it. We love you. And I can't
Winners,
tell you,
please remember to send us your shirt size and your addresses.
mm-hmm.
Don't
not forget that.
Yeah,
It's
email
very
that to
important.
us, please.
Yeah, exactly. I just saw a comment on there. I want to say that.
Hmm.
Yeah, Salem Nemesis, the reaction channel, they steal and compile. Yeah. And not just with the TikTok, but they do it just, they're all their content is just stolen from other people. There's authors that literally put a book together and it's just other people's work. That's all it is. And they say it's theirs. Well, it is good because all the people that originally wrote the stuff, it was good. So congratulations to you for compiling it, but it's not your work. But anyways, and like I said, I'm not going to make the guy eat my book. He's never going to read my book, hopefully. But if he ever does, I will be nice and bring him some Grey Poupon. All right, folks. Thank you for donating. Who's Fist of the North Star? I love that.
Hill, Greg?
But I don't please stay away from the live action one. It is terrible.
Never seen it.
Oh God, it's horrible.
I won't.
It's like pouring acid on your eyes. All right. What is Classic Machine says? I heard one guy rolls out of bed for 20 minutes before the stream starts. Doesn't even brush his teeth, and he just reads what one of his wives prepared for his wives. I can't remember that guy's name. Okay, I think I know who you're talking about. I think we know who you're talking about. I think he has a group on Facebook that he pretends is not him. So I believe that's it. They're all like, "What's the name of that group?" I can't remember, but you should go listen to it. Yeah, how about not? Okay. All right, guys.
yeah. Abe CS is live right now. It's Spiritual Cryptid Encounters, and I'm gonna head over there to the live chat. If you guys you can join me over there because
Yeah.
Abe is live now. Thank
All
you
right,
all
guys.
so much. Have a good night.
All right, I'll see you guys. We'll be back tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, we're dropping the pre-record. It's about angelic encounters. Be there or be square. That's a rectangle. Let me do a square. Is that right? Oh, there you go. Nah, it's still a rectangle. Either that or it's a rhombus. Whatever. Be there or be a rhombus. All right, guys. I'll see you. And then we'll be back on Friday, too. Good night.